I am who I am because I value my past. The memories of yesterday can never be changed, but they give me a reason to live again. There is a reason I am here today, but there is no reason you lost your lives. You were called abusive names, deprived of rights to be humans, slayed because of who you were born. I am lighting a candle as the sign of resilience. I'm paying a tribute. You left a legacy, and I'm a fruit from the love you sowed. Let's say never again to genocide. There should be no war. There should be no genocide. Anyway, let's say never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. I was young, I still needed you, but you were taken away from me too soon. If I had one wish, it would be seeing you again. Today we're strong men and women, even though you are not here to see. We're carrying on to make you feel proud out there, watching down on us. I am lighting a candle as the sign of resilience. I'm paying a tribute. You left a legacy, and I'm a fruit from the love you sowed. Let's say never again to genocide. There should be no war. There should be no genocide. Anyway, let's say never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. I am a witness that if you and I come together as one, we can make sure genocide never happens again. History should be told and passed on to further generations. Let's all stand up and all sing out, never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. There should be no war. There should be no genocide. Anyway, let's say never again again. To genocide. Never again, never again, never again. We brought you flowers. 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 We brought you flowers.
Good evening, fellow Ambazonians, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning into this very important broadcast. We apologize for coming in 30 minutes behind schedule. We had to make some consultations because the conversation of today is a little bit very important. We had to consult with the office of the president and other things to be sure of what information is necessary to disseminate to the world and the people of Ambazonia. We understand that this program is being watched worldwide via all our social media platforms. And we want to congratulate all our esteemed viewers at the home front, most especially those who are sending us feedback from the colonial capital and colonial economic capital, Yaoundé and Douala, respectively. I want to especially thank all those who are watching us from Equatorial Guinea, from Gabon, from East Africa. We get your messages every day and we're pleased. We are working very closely with the Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation Board to make sure that we deliver to you content that meets today's standards and to give you rich information that can only come from the Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation ABC Networks 24. So, on Thursday, we received news that the United Kingdom is submitting or yielding to an agreement that will hand over the it's called the Chagos Island to Mauritius. According to the reports that went viral, they says it is a move the government says ensures the future of the US-UK military base that is vital to British security. So at the end of the day, it's about British interest, but at least there is a movement. And so how does this impact us, the people of the Southern Cameroons? The fact that it happened to the Chagos Island has raised eyebrows, has raised the dust, has reawakened or provoked the discussion of the botched decolonization process of the Southern Cameroons. And lots of political pundits within the nation of the Southern Cameroons are not comfortable with the current approach of the US government. So there are lots of questions around, which also goes to the government of the people of the Southern Cameroons. We understand the measure of the Ambazonia's people's diplomacy is centered towards Washington. But is it time for the government to consider a need to change the strategy? These are some of the questions I'll be asking government officials that are here represented tonight, like Barrister Mbeseha, Barrister Fru John Nsoh. And we're also going to be looking at some interesting stories coming in from the home front, and that has to do with the Ambazonia State Army. So much packed for you tonight. I'm calling all those who are watching us via Facebook and YouTube. Tell somebody to tell somebody that we are live and connected. And before I come back with the debate and the barristers, let's move into the newsroom with Tabitha Ako. Stay tuned.
Has France finally lost its grip on West Africa? As confirmed reports of Okoroak's Ivory Coast, the latest wave of political unrest signals more than internal instability. It marks a possible death sentence for France's long-standing dominance in its former colonies, now raising urgent questions about who truly controls the future of Francophone in Africa. Well, these and many more will be detailed in tonight's Flash News. Good evening and welcome. I am Tabitha Ako. Let's begin. Tension continues to rise across Ivory Coast following unconfirmed social media reports of a possible coup attempt against President Alassane Ouattara. Now, allegations of violent civilian casualties, internet blackouts, and the president's alleged flight or detention began circulating on X on May 20th. Meanwhile, other news agencies are yet to verify these claims, and no official government statement has addressed them. However, these moments, whether confirmed or not, reflects a larger undercurrent sweeping across West Africa, a dramatic decline in France's historical dominance over its former allies. Now, Ivory Coast's current political uncertainty comes on the heels of successful power transitions, often through military coups in Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and Guinea. In each case, the new leadership ousted French troops, severed military ties, and declared a break from decades of neo-colonial influence. Let's have this rhetoric of Ibrahim Traoré.
We were at war. We lived with the Western troops and everything. We saw and we decided to separate from those troops because it does not align with the struggle. On the contrary, it amplifies the phenomenon. But then President Macron said that he instructed them to discover the formula and everything related to it. I can't engage in that debate, only they know the truth. But one thing is certain, we cannot talk about sovereignty and have an army in our country, on our soil, dictating what we should do. The economy, education, and all aspects of a country's development are founded on the military. So each country should develop its army, be sovereign and independent. And so that's what we are doing. I want to take the case of Burkina. These armies were present and it contributed to killing the Burkinabe army. We were no longer recruiting and they determined what volume needs to be recruited. There was no more armament, equipment or anything. Even in the 1980s under Sankara's leadership, we were better equipped than say 10 or 20 years later when conditions had significantly deteriorated. Finally, terrorism returned. And when terrorism arrived, we didn't have an army. And we're still suffering from this today. It's during war that we are creating an army. So it's normal that it takes some time. We suffer, but we must create an army. And coming out of this war, we must emerge stronger. What I said, when I look at the statistics of the Soviet army, the number of men they lost, but at the end of the war, they emerged very strong. And today, no army has the equipment that the Russian army has. So we too must learn from our war. When coming out of the war, we must be very strong. Sovereignty begins with the army. Once you have a strong army, all other aspects can easily develop. That's what I can say about what pushed Burkina, in any case, to separate from those armies.
Ibrahim Traore right there, and his rhetorics, wow. In Burkina Faso, included these colonies have framed their moves not as instability but as necessary revolutions to restore national dignity and independence. Now eyes turn to Ivory Coast, which is long viewed as France's strongest ally in the region, and the possibility that it may follow suit. Now, could this mark the final blow to France's once unshakable grip on Francophone Africa? For over 60 years, France has maintained subtle yet significant influence over its former colonies through the CFA franc, a colonial-era currency still used by 14 African countries, effectively controlling their monetary policies to France. Also, a network of military bases and bilateral security agreement. We take a look at political support for regimes that protect French interests. Now, critics argue that this relationship, far from being supportive, has stunted economic development and political autonomy in this nation. And this poses a question: what role has the CFA franc played in maintaining French economic control over its former colonies? Dr. Africana Chihomboris has something vehemently to say about this. Let's take a look.
They also said your language of instruction shall be French, whether you like it or not. That France will have military presence in your country, that your military can only be trained by France, that you can only buy military equipment from France, that you cannot have any military alliance with your neighbor, and that in the event of war, your allegiance is only to France. And furthermore, because they have military presence in your country, they can invade you without notice should they feel that the interests of France in your country are being violated. Fast forward, nothing has changed. The same people who have the audacity to tell us that we are poor countries, they are taking trillions out of Africa every year.
Right there, she speaks from so much pain. Now, the CFA system has allowed France to influence everything from inflation to interest rates across West Africa, while African countries lack control over their central banks. With the rise of nationalist governments rejecting this model, more people are asking, why are post-independence nations still bound by colonial economic systems? Meanwhile, in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, a separate political drama unfolds. On May 14th, Tijani Tarh, former Credit Suisse CEO, was re-elected as the head of the opposition Democratic Party of Ivory Coast. His campaign has been marred by legal battles over his dual nationality, which led to his removal from the voter roll in April. Now, Tarh has accused the Ouattara's government of manipulating the law to block his candidacy in the upcoming October 2025 elections, calling the nationality clause a politically motivated tool of exclusion. Now, protests broke out in major cities, though turnout remained limited. Analysts warn that bearing political candidates could trigger widespread civil unrest. Why do authoritarian regimes in French-speaking Africa often receive support from France? And what are the implications for democratic development? Now, in many instances, France has maintained close ties with entrenched political allies who ensure a favorable business and diplomatic environment. But with mounting frustration among African youth, this arrangement is rapidly losing legitimacy. Now, we take a look at Africa. Across Africa, young people are becoming a tool of political change. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, a youth activist boldly declared on live television, Africa doesn't need the United Nations to supervise its future anymore. Africa would do it itself. Now, in Senegal, also, student movements have taken to the streets, calling for transparency and the rejection of Western domination. Many activists draw inspiration from the courage of leaders like Captain Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso, who defied French military influence to reclaim sovereignty. Now, what does the rise of youth activism across the continent suggest about the future of African leadership and governance? Ibrahim Traore has a drive. Something pushes him to change the status quo. Now, let's take a look at this interview with this explorer.
For me, it's a message that the youth is sending me, and it puts more pressure on me. If I manage to sleep for 2 hours, I've reduced my sleep time by 1 hour. And if I shouldn't sleep, then I won't sleep anymore. Because they have surely seen something that we are doing, and according to them, it can help Africa get out of this situation. And for us, it encourages us, it remotivates us to continue the fight. That's why I said it's pressure. It's a very heavy responsibility. And I can promise that all we can do is not betray our cause, but to continue steadfastly in our Pan-African line of struggle for liberation and unity. Hope that we can take everything.
The youth are one of his major motivation. Well, this grassroots energy signals a generational shift. Many African youth no longer see colonial era ties as sources of security, but as barriers to progress. They demand accountable leadership, African-led solutions, and an end to foreign dependency. However, surprisingly, not all former French colonies have joined the wave of defiance. Cameroon and Togo remain largely silent amid regional tensions, clinging to the old alliances with France. Now, analysts suggest that fear of losing military backing or international legitimacy could be driving their cautious stance. Now, how does the silence of countries like Cameroon and Togo reflect their political landscape or dependence on the French alliances? In Cameroon particularly, the Ambazonian crisis continues to raise alarms. Some observers question whether France's long-standing support for La République du Cameroon enabled the marginalization and persecution of Ambazonians. Mossad is a 92-year-old dictator Paul Biya's authoritarianism fueled by France. So sad, meanwhile, this tension rises at a time where Africa rebels against Western grip. Could this be the ultimate time when Ambazonia reclaims its autonomy from French-backed authorities in La République du Cameroon? The answer may depend on how regional power dynamics evolve in the coming months and whether more countries choose the path of self-determination, just like Ambazonia. Now, Ivory Coast may be on a shed of political transformation, whether or not a coup has actually taken place. But what is clear is this: Africa is negotiating its future. From currency reform to military independence, from youth revolts to pan-African ideologies, a new continental identity is emerging, one that challenges the legacy of French dominance and demands a future shaped by the African voices. Now, is the decline of French influence in Africa an opportunity for a new geopolitical order led by Africans themselves? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: Africa is no longer content with playing a supporting role in its own story. The continent is ready, mature, and very ready to lead. Well, taking you over in a new development to the Middle East. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has accused prominent Western leaders of fueling anti-Semitism, which led to over a shooting at Israeli staffs in Washington, D.C. And this situation left about 2 staffs dead, who are actually couples. Now, the victims, Yaron Lischinski and Sarah Lane Milgram, were shot and killed on Friday evening by Kevin Devlin, a 23-year-old resident of Washington. U.S. authorities have described the attack as a hate-motivated crime. Now, at a press conference on Saturday morning in Jerusalem, Netanyahu pointed fingers at UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, French President Emmanuel Macron, and Mark Carney, blaming them for what he sees as a growing climate of anti-Semitism in the West. Let's take a look.
Last night in Washington, something horrific happened. A brutal terrorist shot in cold blood a young, beautiful couple, Yaron Lischinski and Sarah Milgram. Yaron had just bought an engagement ring for Sarah. He was planning to give it to her in Jerusalem next week. They were planning to start a new and happy life together. Well, that tragically did not happen. Yaron and Sarah weren't the victims of a random crime. The terrorists who cruelly gunned them down did so for one reason and one reason alone. He wanted to kill Jews. And as he was taken away, he chanted, "Free Palestine." This is exactly the same chant we heard on October 7th. On that day, thousands of terrorists stormed into Israel from Gaza. They beheaded men, they raped women, they burned babies alive, they butchered 1,200 innocent people and took 251 innocent people hostage to the dungeons of Gaza. A short time afterwards, Chancellor Scholz of Germany visited Israel. And after he saw the horrors, he said to me, "These Hamas terrorists are exactly like the Nazis." He was right. And if they could get away with it, these Hamas terrorists would have slaughtered every last Jew on earth. For these neo-Nazis, Free Palestine is just today's version of Heil Hitler. They don't want a Palestinian state. They want to destroy the Jewish state. They want to own the land of Israel for 3,500 years. I could never understand how this simple truth evades the leaders of France, Britain, Canada, and others. They're now proposing to establish a Palestinian state and reward these murderers with the ultimate prize. Well, for 18 years, we had a de facto Palestinian state. It's called Gaza. And what did we get? Peace? No. We got the most savage slaughter of Jews since the Holocaust. You won't be surprised to learn that Hamas thanked President Macron and Prime Minister Starmer and Carney for demanding that Israel end its war in Gaza immediately. Hamas.
Prime Minister Netanyahu, right there, his comments came shortly after the three leaders issued a joint statement threatening concrete action if Israel does not halt what they called egregious military operations in Gaza. Now, in response, the UK Labour Party described Netanyahu's remarks as unhinged and inflammatory, suggesting they were an attempt to shift focus from growing international criticism of Israel's military actions in Gaza. Now, we get to perceive that the French government has yet to issue an official response, but is expected to release a statement soon. Meanwhile, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau called Netanyahu's comments completely unacceptable and unbecoming of a leader, especially in the face of this crisis. But with the rhetoric we just listened to, this is a very critical situation right there with what Israel is facing and the war in Hamas, Israel and Hamas, and what's going on in Gaza. But then in the coming days, we'll get to understand how this incident gets to unfold. Now, the incident and subsequent diplomatic fallout have added further tension to an already strained global political climate, as calls intensify for Israel to curb its military operations in Gaza amid rising civilian casualties. Well, moving on, we got this report. A 44 years apart, a mother searched for her kidnapped daughter and the shadows of international adoption. Now, in 1975, Han Tae-sung left her home in Seoul, South Korea for a quick trip to the market. Her 6-year-old daughter, Kyung-ha, had opted to stay behind and play with friends. When Han returned, her daughter had vanished without a trace. What followed was a 4-decade search that crossed continents and generations, ending in a reunion that raised serious questions about international adoption practices and state accountability. And this makes us to see the situation of kidnapping and how it keeps evolving in different nations. Now, decades later, the girl, now an American woman named Laurie Bender, was discovered through DNA matching. Investigations revealed that she had been taken to a local orphanage under suspicious circumstances, falsely registered as an orphan, and sent abroad for adoption. Her identity had been altered, and she was raised in Virginia, unaware of her origins. This story is not isolated. South Korea has long been at the center of international adoption, sending over 200,000 children abroad since the 1950s, many under questionable legal and ethical circumstances. Now, for years, adoption agencies operated with little oversight, falsifying documents, erasing birth identities, and collecting fees under the guise of donations. The government, while unaware, set annual cautious and supported policies and facilitated these adoptions. Now, the case mirrors concerns from other parts of the world, including recent happenings in Ambazonia. We've been reporting recent incidents about kidnappings in Ambazonia. In weeks, we've had numerous reports surfacing about children being kidnapped, separated from their families. Cases from Bambili, victims were reportedly taken from their homes and public spaces with ransom demands imposed on their families. Now, these incidents mirrors previous abduction also in Muyuka, now which highlights a disturbing pattern of targeting Ambazonian civilians. This incident, like Young Ha's case, tells the story of a broader crisis involving a state failure, exploitation, marginalization, and the long-term impact of lost identities. Meanwhile, in South Africa, recent reforms are attempting to repair the damage. Adoption is now being shifted to direct government oversight, and the number of international adoptions has sharply declined. Yet, for families like Hans, the emotional and psychological costs remain. Reunited with her daughter, Han now struggles to rebuild a bond fractured by years, language barriers, and cultural differences. You could imagine that. Well, bringing you to the conclusion of this report and taking you through recent happenings from the home front, as governments and international bodies confront contemporary cases of abductions and child trafficking, whether in Korea's past or Ambazonia's present, the need for the people's freedom and protections becomes more urgent. Tonight, on the news from the home front, we got breaking reports, but that will be right after the break. Welcome back. 6 individuals, predominantly civil servants returning from celebrations of May 20th, were arrested by the Ambazonian State Army at the Inge Junction along the Injikwa Road. These individuals violated the lockdown called up on May 20th to distance Ambazonians from La République du Cameroon celebration and were part of the celebrations. Now, these individuals that undaunted couldn't get their names, violated the laws of the land, and have been arrested for interrogation. Some sources familiar with the situation state that the arrest took place as the individuals were traveling back from Injikwa. Now, a significant hurdle in obtaining immediate and comprehensive information about the incident is the reported lack of reliable cellular network coverage. Now, there is currently no network availability in Injikwa village extending up to Mbekwe. Now, this communication blackout impedes timely verification of details and outreach to those in the affected areas. Well, Tonight also, I'm not here bringing us perspectives and thoughts on these issues. I'm not here alone. I'm not in the studio alone. But me is my guest, our in-house analyst, Barrister Fru, Barrister Mbeseha, our legal practitioners, and Commander Willy. Well, Barrister Fru, while we couldn't get a footage, these are just a few persons who violated the May 20th lockdown, which has been widely reported, even as BBC confirms that it was observed all over Ambazonia. Do you think that the arrest method to them is a call to caution them not to lose sight on the purpose of this lockdown?
Yes, they violated the law of the land. It is true that we don't have enforcement or enforcement equipment, enforcement authority, but the soldiers, our Ambazonian State Army, has a right to arrest anybody who is violating the lockdown, and for two reasons: one, for his own safety, and two, for violating the law. They will be interrogated, and one thing is clear: if they are found guilty, we will keep them as prisoners of war. We don't have a place to keep people, but we'll keep the soldiers know what to do. But they will never take their lives. No, that is not the policy of the Ambazonian State Army and the Ambazonian State. We are law-abiding. We do not take part in extrajudicial killing. We don't take people's lives. Those are our citizens. We will interrogate them and punish them. How the punishment is meted out I will leave that with the Ambazonian State Army. But there is only one exception: they cannot harm them in any way. They cannot take away their lives. But they violated the law of the land. We are at war, and everybody must respect the law that has been passed. We do not celebrate 20th May. Why did they defy the law? So they will have to answer for that. And after that, any punishment short of death will be meted onto them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barrister Fru. Barrister Mbeseha, as Barrister Fru has well spoken, Ambazonian civilians are law-abiding. What's your thought on this? Is it proper for it to be violated?
Well, I think there are so many legal technicalities there that we don't need to go inside there. What happened in Jikwa, I wonder if it was an arrest. Because when we call it arrest, there's a lot into it. If it was just a prevention, preventing them from violating the order, that's not an arrest. It was a preventive measure. If it was just asking them why they did it, that's not an arrest. We were asking them to explain. And so the summary is, the orders we give, which I've had the opportunity to explain here, there are instructions to be followed. They are not advice. And so if you do violate it, there's a consequence for doing it. And so you hold you to explain, or like the case of somewhere in Donga Mountain, they prevent you if you're trying to go, like they caught those children going to 20th May. They simply prevented them, they didn't arrest them. And so Ambazonians should know that the orders we give from this government at this time of war are meaningful. They have consequences. First, they are intended for the protection, for the benefit of the citizens, not for the benefit of us abroad, running this government from exile. They are in the interest of the people down there. And so if you decide to violate them, you might face the consequences from those of us who are enforcing the orders, or even from the colonial master, because they catch you to go and march. They arrest you to go and stand at the gun stand. And so it is unsafe. We have always said, don't obey them. Don't voluntarily put yourself into trouble if you volunteer to go and march. Most of them will go to march for a price of a bottle of beer, perhaps, 5,000 francs, 2,000 francs, and a loaf of bread. Is that worth your life? Is that what you are really after? Is it because you lack bread to eat or sardines? You don't see the needs. I think most of our own people, children and adults alike, who even violate these orders are just poorly informed. They are so poorly educated, not into school, about what it is all about. It's about asserting what is yours. And you assert it in different forms. We didn't ask them to pick up arms. We simply asked them to stay home. Lie in your bed, and I've said it many times before. All Ambazonians who were home, and even me, those of us who were abroad, we celebrated at home, morning, black, lying in bed for this thing to end. And so it was not arrest. It was not even an arrest. It was a prevention act to make those people respect the orders. Again, as Barrister Nsoh says, nobody who has been sent to Niger will only send anybody to Niger. At least we have not heard that anybody was killed by Ambazonian forces. for doing those things. They were simply informed, they were educated, and perhaps re-educated to know what it is all about. And so there are consequences for what you do. Who are following you, the enemy is following you as well. And so that's what it is. Don't disobey these orders. 20 May was just one. Many other occasions will come throughout this struggle that would advise you to stay home, that will advise you to do this and that. This free advice is purely free, but bottom line, it is for your own good. So don't disobey those things. A disobedience of 10 minutes, 24 hours, or 1 day can cost you your life. Maybe it can cost fire. Maybe something can happen to you. Is that worth the risk of just disobeying the order? Simple orders. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Barrister Mbeseha. Over to Commander Willy. Commander Willy, an information has been given and it's expected that it should be obeyed. Or at this people proxy sent by La Republic to Cameroon, and now that they've been arrested, what do you think? What do you project should be done by your army to them?
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yeah, greeting for all Ambazonia State Army, and greeting for our president, Dr. Samuel Sakwe Kome, greeting for Home Front, Sheikh for everybody for Home Front. We thank you now for our services and sacrifices for Ambazonia State Army as Awana. When you talk of arrest or detention, those are two different things. The people who they know the law, they don't talk for you. When I look at say they arrest people, them we there for war. At this time for war, people they will do the way it please them. And how would I don't know what those people them now the Republic agent them where they spy? Why they say me all my shoot up a house? It's normal civilian, not it go shoot up a house. Now all the military people they work outside highway lockdown day because they get the capability for communicate with the enemy. So those people them without looking in a certain way, you go not say they be spy in the sense way they will work around the call for the phone or give military people the intelligence. I'm bad for you. I'm bad for you. I don't see them for you. I don't see them for you. Meanwhile, they downplay the civilian. For wartime, the government don't say, oh, my shoot up house and make it be safe. But they don't go outside and say, well, they be military. So they be military people then. When they say shoot up house, you shoot up house, you go be safe. Whether they be alive or they die, in a part of war, me are not going to decide their fate. But they're part of war. Whatever decision they make for themselves, when government they try to protect them, they no agree for government to protect them. That means that the enemy that way would fight against. They be part of Cameroon army based on that behavior. They be part of the Republic based on that behavior. Because a typical Ambazonian, if you shoot down for house. My will not be shoot down for house. If you be teacher, picking come late, we tell me picking no come late, or me no come late for carry exam. You want come the wrong exam. The one way you know come early, what you go do? No, you go fail it. You go fail it. So the one the way they know when they come late, therefore they don't be too late. So I don't know nothing for tell now. The people the way they know the law, they don't tell what the law they do. For the fighting side, the main priority for ground as President Sakwe talk, and for protect, defend Ambazonia and protect life and property for people, for everybody for inside Ambazonia, and for take out the enemy out of Ambazonia. So if you follow the enemy path, they will treat you as enemy. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Commander Willy. Now let's take a look at this report. ASA decries discrimination. Now the Ambazonian State Army, Fako Mountain Lions, decries the discrimination of the whole report we are having. The Ambazonian State Army, Fako Fountains, have strongly condemned the discriminatory practices of Supermont Water Production Company, a leading water bottling firm based in Ambazonia. According to the Ambazonian State Army, Supermont water is sold at significantly lower price in La Republic de Cameroon towns compared to Ambazonian towns, despite being produced in Ambazonia. Now, this blatant discrimination against Ambazonians is unacceptable and shows the systemic marginalization and exploitation of Ambazonian resources by external forces. The Ambazonian State Army has called for an immediate redress of this situation, demanding that Supermont Water Production Company adopts fair pricing policies that treat Ambazonians with the same dignity and respect as their counterparts in La Republic de Cameroon towns. Now let's take a look at this video.
Asawana, Asawana, Asabom, Eshimini. Yes, today na 22 of May, 2025. Today na Thursday. We don't decide, say, we the mountain life of Fakoro don't decide, say, anything any man Siam is Siam. Number one, Supermon, you move for attack for year. You sell them for 500, go sell them with $300. We don't make una no say. If you want live una must start sell water for year 200. Una go sell with dollar outside 300 or 500. Number two, these chiefs the way they work and sell land them place by place where they go march for Boya. We don't decide for them any trip. Any man will remember Boya. We catch now one after another. For Yaounde will kill una Amba the catch my way Yaounde kill the man. So any man will no say it be march, me no just pass again for this side because we to anyhow by air or by land will catch una. Number three, Bishop. It doesn't have to enter the politics. Paul Beroki kind bishop then kind this in the but no enter politics. Father, una wash out because look una eyes on the ground for una. As a Paul Beroki decide say we not enter politics una so on. We no spare no man. If we kill any man a collateral damage, we need spare no man. So una take una shape. We to take our shape. Me
The Ambazonian State Army statement right there shows the broader struggle for economic justice and self-determination in Ambazonia, where local resources are often exploited for the benefit of external interests. By speaking out against this discriminatory practice, the Ambazonian State Army is amplifying the voices of Ambazonians who are demanding fairness, equity, and respect for their rights. Concerning Ambazonian State Army and its recent activity with the Supermount, we consulted with the defense chief in Fako, Commandant Fombant, and this was what he had to say.
You know, our problem, the problem that we face as Ambazonians is not stopping people from doing their economic activities. It's not stopping those who want to feed our people because mindful of the fact that despite the fact that we are at war, our people must survive. And some of our people depend on the Supermon because of their health conditions. They are not advised to drink from the local sources. So the only problem we have is those who are using our resources to exploit our people. Those who are using our resources as an advantage over our people economically. And those who are using our resources with force, working with La Republique, and claiming authority over our land. Those who have looked away from the struggle, they don't care what is happening. They don't seem to realize that we are at war. But if there is any parastater operating on the home front that we formally call ground zero, supports the movement, support the Ambazonian struggle, whether financially, whether materially, whether morally, physically, they are all welcome. They are welcome to operate in our territory, but should not use it as an advantage to exploit our people, should not work, collaborate in any form with the Republic of Cameroon. They are welcome to operate in our land. So we cannot say the activities of the boys or Supermon is to gear that they are working with Supermon. They are not working with Supermon. They are not working with Supermon. They are not working with Supermon. If Supermon stops working with La Republique, Supermon is welcome to operate. If Supermon consider that our people are already suffering and they decide to produce their water as we know that they are producing in southern Cameroon in Fako, and instead of using as an advantage to exploit our people as the boys have explained in the video, they should rather reduce the costs or better still give our people for free, because those are natural resources, God-given natural resources exploited in Fako.
Commandant Fombant has urged the people of Ambazonia to stand in solidarity with the Ambazonian State Army in this call for justice, demanding that Superman's water production company and other businesses operating in Ambazonia treat Ambazonians with the dignity and respect they deserve. Now, following the aftermath of the sabotage of May 28th debacle, is there anything we should anticipate from the Ambazonian State Army? Now, when we take a look at the elections, we see that they are fast approaching, and La Republic of Cameroon and her proxies are still wanting the elections to go on. Now, in finding out if there is anything we should expect from the Ambazonian State Army, this was what we got. Let's take a look.
The president, the CIC has already said, and Ambazonians have echoed worldwide, that there is nothing like election in Ambazonia because we are at war. We do not promote any political activities. We are not involved in La Republique elections. As we approach the elections, so-called elections, La Republique elections, which do not concern us, anyone getting themselves involved in these activities in one way or other, it is needless to emphasize or to voice out that they are committing treason. They are committing treason against the nation. The strategies will not be voiced out. It's not something to put out there, but the Ambazonian State Army of FACO and their commanders and generals, they are working hard to ensure that the sham election is boycotted and our people are being educated on a daily basis. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Commander Willy, rather. Elections are coming up in October. What should be our expectations of the Ambazonian State Army at this time? Commander Fombant has already stated it clearly. What should be our expectation at this time?
Yes, thank you for this question. Before I answer that question, I will request for something. We put down straight so that may all Ambazonian State Army don't understand now. When it comes for Supermon, the government in position now for no give water for La Republique. Now for no feed La Republique. We no feed people where they kill us. We no feed give them water where they kill us. So what that if the month if a Super Monday for the if Super Monday operate, you get operate and everything for be sold inside Ambazonia and the tax for be paid for Mountain Lion for FACO. The tax for Supermon, you get for be paid for FACO. We know the control price for Douala. We no get Ambazonia government no get no treaty for business with La Republique. We'll be two different countries as President Sako don't talk am. We'll not be reload them by DNA. So any chop, you know, be get for go for Douala. Water no get for go. Any natural resource for Ambazonia no get for go. If you leave and go, you fight against Ambazonia government. The government position and say, we cannot feed those who are killing us. We cannot give water to those who are killing us. We don't have no good thing coming from La Republique. That's number one. Number two, as FACO Mountain Lion they mentioned, coming for Father them and Bishop them and priest them. When I don't see for the past, that they open the data center. They take guns from Ambazonian State Army them. They get them for La Republique. They work with La Republique as spies for all the 13 counties and 61 LGA. Priests and father them. That then they go up, they downplay things them, the way things that they happen for ground. So they tell father them, may they stay out of the war. May they focus for their church. May they no come for bush, come preach for fighter for bush. May they stay for church. If we need them, we'll come for their church, they will pray for us. We don't want to make them come for any bush or any side for Ganta from Ambazonian State Army. In the weekend we are spirit, they tell say, come to Jesus, keep your gun down. You keep on down, army can't catch you, killer. We don't want me father they come up for their church. They go outside, go to preach for anybody for bush. Stay for your church. If you don't want to stay for your church, then you will find place for keep us. And then for chiefs them, those chiefs them where they will go for go march, those chiefs them, 80% of them, now La Republique chiefs them. On ABC how they come for Boya, they come in their numbers. When people they come for grandstand, if the Ambazonia chiefs them, they will come sequentially. Do one come for 8 o'clock, do one come for 8:05, do one come for 9 o'clock. But you see those basa them, they dress all and they come in regala and they come in for one group. When people they come for one group, they will truck them in for La Republique military truck. They bring them in. Now when they come for election, we're not going to talk again now. We're not going to talk again. We're not be La Republique. Ambazonia never get them. It never get political party who they make election. So any two election they go shoot and kill them. Me I know nothing to tell you. Anything election, they will shoot and kill them. If you just say you want carry vote, we will not say for the past, father them and churches them, they keep voting boxes them. You keep a voting box for any facility from Ambazonia, they go burn them. If you keep any voting material for inside Ambazonia, they go ASA, they go burn them. You keep them for your house, they go burn them. For any institution, you keep any voting material, they go burn them. They go burn, not that material only, they go burn that facility. So if you want that for no die, stay away from anything that concern the Republic. We're not going to do them. We'll fight for our life. We're not going to live life for go take a ballot box and voting. This time we're not going to live on the bounce check where the Cameroon come right down for us. Over to you.
Well, as Commander Willy has just stated, the Ambazonian State Army are well ready and they are putting up their strategies on how they would implement it during this election. Well, Barrister Mbeseha, over to you. Now, the May 28th lockdown was respected and religiously observed in Ambazonia. Now, what does this hint to you? How would the elections come out? Do you think that the people are more focused on the election at this time?
Of course. I'm not sure that they are focused because somebody is distracting them with the idea of elections being held in Ambazonia. No matter what we talk, we cannot forget that there are Ambazonians who are traitors. There are Ambazonians who are terrible supporters of the CPDM. So the message we give here, they counter it by saying that let us go hold elections. And so it has been clear, elections are agreed about hold in Ambazonia, especially elections that concern like people to campaign. They have been banned, and anybody who goes out to campaign, to vote, or to do anything in the process of election, register. You are an enemy of this process. You are an enemy of Ambazonia. But take us back a little bit. From that audio that you played there, the guys, they complained something about Superman. What was their complaint about Superman? They said that they were selling Superman water in the southwest, maybe in Buea, in Kumba, for 500 francs, whereas in Douala they sell it for 200 francs. There's something bigger in the picture. It's not as simple as we're saying. Superman is based in Moyuka. It's based in Moyuka. Moyuka is in Fako division. They are not treating the water. The water is coming straight from the ground and they are selling it. But interestingly, as Commissioner has just said, Superman, which is a very large company, is registered in Douala. They pay their corporate taxes in Douala. That might even explain why, because those who are selling that water for 200 francs, 500 francs, it's not even Superman. They're the distributors. And so it tells you the story that, look, somewhere it is established that if you are buying that Superman, even in Moyoka, it is in principle you are buying from Douala because officially it's coming from Douala. So they add the price there and make it expensive. Is this right? No. Happened to have been very active when Superman was set up. In the late 80s, early 90s, when they were building up Superman in Fako, in Moyoka, the mayor of Moyoka was Mr. B.A. Tate. He died. I personally made trips to Moyoka to cause the mayor of Moyoka to make Superman supply water to Moyoka for nothing. What did that mean? Simply putting a tank and putting pipes there, and people would drink it. There's no treatment given to that water. The struggle did not even succeed. If you're familiar with where Superman is, as you pass the mountain is on Matuna, you see a small tank standing there. That tank Superman put there, purportedly to supply water to Moyoka, which is not even enough. And so that is wrong. Superman, if they want to operate, they should do the right thing. At the very least, they should pay their taxes, their corporate taxes to Moyoka, where they are based. At the very least, the people who live in Moyoka should drink that water for free. Because Superman is doing nothing, they just put pipes. That's all what they need. And so that is the message. If they want to make that, they cannot claim to be fighting or not just being free. Now, Superman, to the best of my knowledge, when this war started, it is being guarded by the bee. You would see the bee sitting there guarding them. And what do we get out of it? Nothing. And so that is as far as Superman is concerned. I did not hear from that audio the complaint that the speaker gave against the bishop, the church. I'm not sure that the church has done anything. At least I didn't get it from there. But since we're talking about the church, and the Catholic Church in particular, because he mentioned the bishop. I remember at the beginning of his struggle in 2017, they killed the Catholic priest in Moyuka. The Catholic priests are part of the church. They killed the Catholic priest in Moyuka, the son of Mr. Bob or somebody had. They closed down the church in Moyenge. Not our restoration forces, the military. So I don't see the complaint against the church. But if there's any complaint against the church, so be it. But I've not heard from that video any complaint against the bishop or the priests or whatever they are doing. But from that audio, I gather something very, very important about Superman. And by extension, we talk about and by extension, we say nothing in Ambazonia should go without our consent. And so, Superman, do what you want, but respect Ambazonian laws, which are yet to be implemented. But the easiest one for them is to pay their taxes to Moyuka Council. If they pay those taxes, an ordinary citizen of Moyuka will they will provide something for the citizens there. If they just put pipes to carry water to Malende, to carry water to where, at least the Ambazonian will pass on the way there will drink it in that distance. What they have done is to put pipes in the ground and get out the water. Again, it is not treated anywhere. If necessary, they could pump that water. You don't need the generator. Pump that water from 29 there, which is too, if that is necessary. And so, I think that's the message I got from it. Our Brazilians are not sleeping. Those who want to go in the election process, which means that going to register, going to vote, going to do anything that is related to the elections is against Ambazonian law, because those elections in Yaoundé or wherever in Douala will have nothing to do with it. Those who go to campaign there as candidates, they are violating our laws. As election organizers, they are violating our laws, and they should be subject of any necessary sanctions. Over to you.
Thank you very much for that well-elaborated perspective. I believe Barrister Fru would have a lot to say concerning the Supermont Water Production Company. But then, Barrister Fru, let's digress a little. Let me take you through this. Let's talk about the election. How is it possible that a 92-year-old man, Dictator Paul Biya, is coming out as a candidate for the election? Now, he may have lost the capacity and technical know-how on how to govern. Is this not an aberration?
Yes, Tabitha, before I answer that question, I have two or three things to say. Number one, the success of the lockdown for the 20th May is very encouraging, and we are encouraging the ASA to work very hard and prepare for the election. I tend to support Commandant Willy. Those elections are banned in the territory of the Southern Cameroons Ambazonia. Therefore, anybody involved in it is committing treason, and the Ambazonian State Army has a right to shoot and kill. I tend to support Commander Willy on that. Secondly, look, we don't have any control over Supermon. The only control that we have over Supermon is the action of the Ambazonian State Army. I would prefer that the Ambazonian State Army take over that place, shoot out all the bees that are there and take over the place and let it be there, because we have not been benefiting from whatever is coming from Supermon. If any taxes are paid in Moyuka, they are paying. Moyuka is governed. Those mayors there work under La Republique. You are paying that money to La Republique. So it doesn't make any difference. We don't feed those who fight and kill us. I'm quoting Commander Willy, and he is correct. No food should go to La Republique. No water should go to La Republique. For now, we are at war. That place, Supermon, is of no use to the average Ambazonian. Muyuka drinks his water from wherever they get it, not from Supermon. In the other days, in the days before the war, when I was still on the ground, sometimes when I go to court in Muyuka, I carry a small drum in my car and I carry water on my 2.9, which is Supermon. They take that water, they don't do anything to it, they bottle it and sell it and make money for La République du Cameroon, not for us. If they pay the taxes in Muyuka, it wouldn't make any difference. The taxes you pay in Boya and Limbe, what do they do for us? Limbe is full of Basa people. They are running Sonara. They are running everything. They are collecting the taxes. The so-called mayor of Limbe is a CPDM. All that money, it goes into one pot. So paying taxes to Muyuka is of no consequence. In fact, Supermon should be closed down by the ASA until this war is over. Because I don't see what it does for us, but take our water and commercialize it in their territory of La République du Cameroon and in our people. Our people can stop drinking Supermon, they will not die because Supermon has not been nothing has happened to the water. The water can still be exploited by our people. After all, there's a tap on the road, and that tap should stay open. The ASA should make sure that tap stay open so that even passengers of Ambazonia, they can stop there and drink. Going to Kumba or coming to Victoria, they can stop there and drink. Supermon is of no use to Ambazonia. Economically of no use to Ambazonia. They do not contribute to this fight. They do not contribute to any development. They take them, they pay all, they take all the money goes to La République. How many people, how many Ambazonians are employed in Supermon? I can tell you, virtually none, because when I was there, that company came from Douala, and they were taking the water. All the workers, they were francophones, La République du Cameroon citizens. How many Ambazonians are employed in Supermon? Nobody can tell me. So Ambazonia State Army, the mountain lions, you have a right to take over that place and shoot whoever is there trying to guide anything. Take the bees that are there out and take over the place until this war ends. That will be my contribution, Tabitha, because I don't see any other thing. And this before I go off, this thing about chiefs, those chiefs, majority came from La République, but there are some from our territory who were with them. Those are the land grabbers, the land sellers. They connive with La République du Cameroon and sell land to French francophones, sell land to DOs and SDOs, give them land for free, and they get them, they ridicule them, they march like school children. What kind of nonsense is that? You go and take a traditional ruler and force him to march. The Ambazonia State Army is right to talk about those chiefs. Those chiefs that march, they are being watched by the ASA, and they will answer to it. Because it is a violation, it is a treasonous violation of the rules that the Ambazonian government has put, that lockdown for 5 days not to respect the 20th May, which is a terrible day in the history of our country. It's the day we lost control of everything that concerns us. Why should we celebrate it? And when they say don't celebrate it, some people are there dancing up and down, call themselves chiefs. The ASA in Fako should get up and take over whatever they can take over. Particularly Supermon, in my 29 Muyuka, that water they have not added one single tablet in it. It is bottled as it is, and it's exploited from the southern Cameroons for the benefit of La Republique of Cameroon. So we don't have anything to lose if our army takes it over. And of course, the tap on the road will stay open for our people to continue to drink. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barrister Fru, for that powerful reaction. It is a call to the Ambazonian State Army to actually take charge. But then I would like you to add your thoughts on this. The earlier question I just stated about how it's been possible for a 92-year-old man, dictator Paul Biya, coming out as a candidate for election. Don't you think that it's an aberration and he must have lost capacity and his technical know-how on how to govern?
Yes, let me come to that. Whether they bring a 100-year-old man, a 200-year-old man, whether they do what with him is no longer our problem. We don't care. La Republic citizens, you deserve a government that you have. The reason why we have cut off from them is because we don't want that kind of government. A 92-year-old man who can no longer, whose organs have now been completely broken, cannot be allowed to rule a country. In fact, can anybody tell me in reality that he's ruling? But it's not our problem. Whether they elect him or they don't elect him, whether they elect whoever, Solomon Young, who is now part of them, it's no longer our problem. We don't even need to talk about their election, but on the condition that they don't bring it over to our territory. As soon as they enter our territory, we are going to shoot them down. No election in the southern Cameroons Ambazonia, but I don't care whether they elect a 500-year-old man. It doesn't make any difference to me, because it's not going to govern me. It's not going to govern my people anymore. That is my take.
Thank you very much, Barrister Fru. Well, can I have Commander Willy again? Commander Willy, the Ambazonian State Army are speaking out against this discrimination of Ambazonians, of supermalt water producing companies, discrimination and price variation, and looking at the reaction that Barrister Fru and Barrister Mbeseha has given concerning this report. Now, this shows to us the level of accountability by the Ambazonian State Army to give us a broader lineup on how much of a defense the Ambazonian State Army has been to the people. So far, Commander Willy, on the show, we've had you present to the people an elaborated analysis on the progress and impacts made by the Ambazonian State Army. Can we have a rundown of that today?
Yes, fellow Ambazonian, Sheikh for 13 county and 61 LGA. With the thank you as the president, our commander-in-chief, Dr. Samuel Sakoi Kome, we give an order for a 5-day lockdown for Ambazonia from Saturday, the 17th of May, through Wednesday, the 21st of May, 2025. We will get a 94% success for the 13 county and 61 LGA. During this lockdown, the main goal why President Sarkozy called this lockdown, now for tell the world and for tell Cameroon government cities, so we'll not be part of them, and say with the government yourself already, and as such, President Sarkozy, as the commander-in-chief, he get right for call a lockdown for a country at any time to keep its citizens safe. When anytime there's a threat, external or internal threat, the president, Papa for House, now he gather we all, shape we all, coordinate we, organize we, fund we, and help we for give we directives and how we will make the lockdown for that may be successful. He advise Ambazonian State Army, say make we save life and property so that make our own army, come kill us. During this lockdown, for the 13 county and 61 LG as a whole, Cameroon Army, they will lost 31 servicemen. They will lost 31 servicemen members. That's Army, Janam, and police all combined. We need to differentiate between Army, police, or Janam. When they kill them, they don't kill them. Ambazonian State Army, they will attack some of them for their military bases. They will attack them for day and they will kill some of them. Some of them they be blow them up with ammo car from the ammo car. Make I give first the statistics, then I analyze it. They be killed 31 Cameroon Army, Janam police, military men and women. They be lost 31 of them. 8 they be wounded. 1 be commit suicide, and then they be lost 7 armor car for inside Ambazonia for this 5-day period. So 31 dead, 8 wounded, 1 suicide, and 7 armor car they will be destroyed inside Ambazonia territory for this. We see how Ambazonia State Army across the board, they be carry out the war, they go for Republic military bases them, where they put inside Ambazonia, they be attack them for their military bases them. When we see how they popcorn them, they will take popcorn them for wipe them out for route. Most of the armor car they blow them off. So and some of them they be wounded, they will take some of them, they fly them, fly out and go out of Ambazonia for Douala and other places them. Whether they die or they don't die with time, we will get inside out, will give us statistics with time. Whether those where they carry go, they don't die or not. But at this time, that's for these 5 days only. That's from the 17th to the 21st. Anything apart from 22nd up to now, whenever we will get them, we will not bring her in. Now just for the 5 days only, forgive how Ambazonia State Army did progress for keep Ambazonia safe. During this lockdown, we see how chop no become for Ambazonia go for the Republic, and vice versa. Chop no become for the Republic come for us for inside Ambazonia. There was no transportation, no movement, nothing at all. So it because stress for Cameroon government. When I see how it be stressed out for 20 May, their president said probably a peaceful chair for Yaoundé, for grandstand. Their president peace due to the stress from Ambazonia where they get for them. Hungry day for them. Hungry at the order of the day for the Republic. Their crime rate increase. Their employment rate, it say is high because they need to employ people them for their area. Unemployment too much. They need to employ people them because job is close. Number 1, job for the transportation services because we are main and the target for the government. Now for attack the transportation services. So that section will be a 99% successful. Motor no be pass go for them. Chop no be pass go for them. So those who they work for transport sector for the Republic, they don't fit carry passenger car from Ambazonia, so they will lose customers. When their drivers don't fit carry chop, they don't fit come for our side, they lose. The company inside the Republic don't fit distribute chop, they carry and go inside, they lose. They don't fit carry chop for Ambazonia, carry and go for the area, we don't staff them for this 5 days period. So it will give them economic stress. We see how many meeting groups them for instance Ambazonia, they be denied for take bribe from the Republic for come match for dance for field. They be denied for take money for can dance for field. And we will keep our eye for those activists them for instance Ambazonia, when they go dance for the colonial deal them, they will get the price for pay. Some they go pay with their life because why the government they give an order, maybe people they not go out for field for go match. Some they be respect them. Some musicians them they be go dance. Those the way they be go dance, we never forget them. We go come and they go dance for we when we don't come meet them because it shows that they don't do with us. They be go sing for grandstand, they dance to them. We will see how the grandstand they be scanty all over the place. Cameroon Army, Janama police, some of them march for empty grandstand, and make we not forget. For example, for Manu, we get intelligence how they be carry Nigerian people them for Nigeria. They bring her inside for a cop. They bring her for they take some of them come for inside Upper Bayang area where they come from Nigeria. When they become for bosses them and they be put their flag for those bosses them. They be put their flag for those bosses them. A commander be call me and say, "Pa, how we will do with this situation?" I say, "May they leave them." The reason I say the Cameroon government they try for make and say, may they to say Ambazonia they don't shoot Nigerians. When they shoot them, then that Nigerian people will go for Nigeria for drive for refugees and say where they did for inside Nigeria. So now they trap that way Cameroon government try for hide them for put them for we, but will not be fall for that because they don't kill Cameroon army too much for inside Ambazonia, and again Cameroon army don't be stretched out. They don't get again manpower and woman power support. When I see they bring some army from Nigeria, may they can march inside Ambazonia. That army they can march for inside Ambazonia for political reason. Number 1, for Cameroon army now wait for take Cameroon and say the army don't be reduced. Cameroon army don't reduce in number because they don't die from Ambazonia. So those where they go for Douala or Yaoundé for the march, they don't say run come suppress Ambazonia down. So they will be a vacuum for Yaoundé. So as Cameroon army you carry Nigeria army them bring them for day. You get for feed them, you get for help with the transportation and logistics. That way, Cameroon army, Cameroon government, it lost money. It don't lost a lot of money for this time for 20 May. Last but not the least, Cameroon government not lost money for this 20 May because from the 17th to the 21st, offices where they begin for operate, they will be closed. So money, be good for Cameroon government. Stamps them, it be close. Place where they sell stamp and other document them, it be close if you go sign them. Plus the Monday goes down, where it fall inside this day too. And Tuesday and Wednesday too, when I lockdown for inside Ambazonia, it make Cameroon government, be fit operate. Why Cameroon government, people do they inside Ambazonia where they work for Cameroon government, they no be go for work. The Cameroon government, they pay them. So they work at a deficit for when it comes to their budget. If we look at the overall picture, Cameroon, it don't be stressed out. When I go see after a lockdown for successful lockdown from Ambazonia, when I go see a communique from the Ministry of Defense where we can put about recruitment. Those recruitment, I wait for gather money. They go say they want 500 military for them. Say for gather money, people they go buy stamp, make all this certificate of non-conviction. When people they go for those recruitment, they go recruit maybe 50 of the Bulu or 500 of the Bulu, and the remaining one they all their money now for using for build their own self again because they don't lost money for their country. Looking at this picture, before this day one come, we don't get intelligence how Nigerian army they go come for Cameroon. And most Cameroon army, some they don't contact with, they don't tell we had their vex with Cameroon government. Some of them they be trained for West Point, some of them trained for Israel. These are men and women of dignity, as they call themselves, and they feel ashamed for camp from Ambazonia. As you see, Cameroon army they enter before 20 May, they enter for Bambili, they kidnap where people there for dormitory for Bambili Day. They kidnap them, carry them, go for unknown location. Force some of them in the march. So some of the army they vex because you be colonel, you don't go for school like America, you don't learn human rights and all those things. Then you come the march in front of kidnap people them. You don't kidnap Ambazonia them, you can put them for grandstand by force. When I see her deal for FACO, he give a communique, say chiefs them will come for grandstand by force. That one it will go against your own will. When you first put against their will, they can't you don't for grandstand by force, you don't violate their civil right, and Barrister Fru will tell about those things for law. Me I don't know. But when it comes for this war, those the way they violate the law, they will be punished. Overall, we thank President Sako for his leadership. Now, President Sako, he war draft. We call him for the 13 country and 61 LGA. Now he help for carry out this operation. Ambazonia State Army, they be recruited for the 13 country and 61 LGA at this time of lockdown. Before the lockdown one come, we don't prepare them. Those where they want join voluntarily want join the various unit them. They don't come, they participate. Because during this time for lockdown, at time this way, if you go carry Ambazonia State Army, where you go join the unit, they go carry out operation. That way, it learn for the field. When they go carry on Monday, he can rest on Tuesday. Wednesday, they carry he can rest. So he make them glad so don't get a big number for Ambazonia State Army. We don't be increased for ranks and file. At the carry operation, they go. Last but not the least, we the kind for tell civilian population, say for the past, we will give a hinge eye, but now they want a federal crime. For instance, Ambazonia, we see them before how Cameroon government used to carry a fight at them, where Ambazonia State Army, their picture, and they put them for outside, they say wanted. Anybody, any facility where you go carry Ambazonia State Army, a picture, put them for outside, say wanted, that facility will go burn them. I don't care what facility it is. Whether na moto or na any building, if you put any Ambazonia State Army, a picture say wanted, will go burn that property. Because the people that they be wanted na la Republic. We manage our country. We know the manage we know the manage la Republic it things them. Last but not the least, we get information say they don't catch Ambazonia State Army as a civilian population. It catch Ambazonia State Army, give them Cameroon Army. This one come for me. The one not for the government. The one I will I give command. Me, I be responsible for what I talk. I authorize all Ambazonia State Army for shoot for kill. Anybody will come for can catch you with hand. Shoot you for head kill him. When Marker for can catch you, no be civilian again. Anybody come for can catch you Ambazonia State Army, no shoot gun for air. If you get a one bullet, whether a 1 month old picking, shoot him for head, you kill him. Let me talk. When Marker for can catch you, no be civilian again. I never see that way they catch Cameroon Army again from Ambazonia State Army. No, we don't lost Ambazonia State Army at the talk with Nsoh. We don't lost them. Because why? Civilian they catch them, he hand for Cameroon Army. At the talk to Nsoh, I get the picture of them for you. And it, you see, when I see him, it happened this evening, this morning. When I see him, because why? They come for can catch it take gun, shoot them for air for one the civilian population, but they still catch again for Cameroon Army they shoot it. So I know what they shoot they bury die every day because a civilian they go catch somebody. Once you stand in your hand for catch somebody with a gun, you are no more a civilian, you are a military. So Ambazonia State Army, do one kind of for me, Willy. We now go shoot for kill, shoot for head, scatter the head. Any man can catch you again for La Republic. We're there for war. We're not there for play. Because your life comes first. If chop there, Ambazonia State Army, you get a chop first before civilian. You get a chop first. If there are one planted there, Ambazonia State Army, you go chop them first before you get them for civilian. Because you chop for get energy for defend the country. Anybody when you want carry gun, then make nice Abi. Over to you.
Much for that constructive and intelligent analysis. It's such an elaborate one, and I believe the Ambazonian people are actually taking note of it. Well, Ambazonian State Army, with the level of victories we've been having, we got this report and they've given us another latest victory. They keep making Ambazonians proud. The Ambazonian State Army scored victory against La Republic de Cameroons Army. We take a look at the Ambazonian State Army. This is led by General M.J. Bush Rambo, have claimed another victory in their ongoing struggle to reclaim Ambazonian territory. According to reports and a video, the Ambazonian State Army targeted and destroyed armored cars belonging to the colonial La Republic de Cameroon Army, showcasing their military prowess and strategic capabilities. Let's take a look at this video.
And the boy than that, with them. The intelligence for who could talk to under the leadership of General Bush Rambo. And the boy than that. You see, we are not first young as we take cover all boy and day at a lot. Now, yeah, they are motor than you see in the camp. For Monday at a lot. I fell me to that. Drum.
Now, the Ambazonian State Army's actions are seen as a bid to protect, secure, and defend the people of Ambazonia, who have been subjected to colonial rule for decades. Now, the group's leader, General M.J. Bush Rambo, has vowed to continue fighting for Ambazonia's independence and self-determination. Now, the Ambazonian State Army's targeting of armored cars is a significant tactical move aimed at weakening the La Republic de Cameroon's army's military capabilities and disrupting their ability to maintain control over Ambazonia. Now, the group's ability to execute this operation with ease proves a high level of military training and coordination, as we just listened to from Commander Willy. Now, the ASS victory is likely to have significant implications for the ongoing war in Ambazonia. The ASS action may lead to increased tensions or stop the move of La Republic de Cameroons into Ambazonia, which may either potentially escalate the conflict or reduce it. Ambazonian State Army's determination to protect and defend the people of Ambazonia may also galvanize support for their cause, both domestically and internationally. Now, can I kindly have Commander Willy again? It's a victory day for Ambazonian State Army, Commander Willy. Now, the Ambazonian State Army's abilities to secure a lasting victory will depend on their military strategy, international support, and the willingness of La Republic de Cameroon Army to negotiate a peaceful resolution. Let me get your thought on this. Can I have Commander Willy?
Yes, can you hear me? Yes, when it comes for war as government, whether Ambazonian government, they go for negotiate with the La Republic government as a fighting unit. Nobody we have responsibility. We have responsibility for ground where President Sako don't declare them now for defend and protect us, the country, as a whole. Ambazonian State Army not be involved for negotiation. Ambazonian State Army not be involved for politics. Ambazonian State Army not be involved for talk usa or the go, usa or not the go. Ambazonian State Army is duty now for defend, protect, and secure the civilian population and the property of Ambazonia. When for negotiation, now Barrister Fru they will get that side for handle them. That's I know my feel for talk. Whether they go negotiate, they not go negotiate. That one no concern us. When snake enter my house, you aim now for kill them. My duty and function now for kill Cameroon army and wipe them out. That's my duty and function. I don't get no other duty whether they go for court, they need to come for court. But it's a fruit and they go for now they lend that side for court. Me I no lend that side, but only for kill. At the very people where Cameroon army it is sneak with enablers and they kill him. You see him no? Agreement. You see him? And they show him because I want to show him. You see him? So if you get images where they come everywhere Cameroon army they enter they kill their people them. Mommy then they kill them. Picking then they kill them. Woman and they kill them. People they say okay they make people they want to down for school. They don't go there they kill them. As Ambazonia government to say you know they control school, whether they go, they no go school. You look at your own safety, whether you go, you no go. But anytime they catch somebody inside, they kidnap somebody inside Ambazonia territory, it becomes the responsibility of the government for Ambazonia. Because the government is purpose now for defend and protect all Ambazonians. They don't catch people for Bambili, they don't carry and go. We never get reports they don't release them. We don't know side the day. They don't catch people for Moyoka, they carry and go. We don't know side the day. Ambazonia State Army no get nothing for negotiate with Cameroon Army. Our goal and focus and purpose now for shoot them all, move on for their land. Nothing short, nothing more than that. Army no they go for go shoot you. It is thing whether when I go shoot down they negotiate. Now gone be the solution, and they will make people the draft. They put their money in President Sako direct them the right side where they go. Make you get the job done. Now all I get for tell you, Paul Barrister Fru will answer that time for the law. Me I don't know. Now I feel that. Over to you, Barrister Fru.
Well, thank you very much, Commander Willy. While I would like our legal practitioners to give us their perspectives on this, but then let's bring in this report with the president's speech. I think they would have to make their contributions with it all together. Now, President Samuel Ikome Sako, in a recent message, the president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia expressed hope and confidence in the Ambazonian State Army and the people of Ambazonia. The president commended the Ambazonian State Army for their efforts in defending Ambazonia's independence, showing their ability to take charge and protect their authorities and territories. Now, the key points from the president's message: we have freedom and independence. The president believes Ambazonia is already free, citing the current generation's determination and resilience like we saw in the May 28th lockdown. He also encouraged the Ambazonian State Army to remain active and take responsibility for defending Ambazonians' independence, drawing parallels with the La Republic's the Cameroon's electoral process. Let's take a listen to his audio.
Congratulations to all our Ambazonian State Armed Forces, from Fako to Dongamanto, from Mezam to Bui, from Goketunja to Meme, from Dian to Boyo, from Manu to Momo, from Menchum to Lebialem. We honor you, we throw a salute, we lift you up. When ABC Bona action from Kupema Nenguba to Ndian and places where we think say it don't finish, from Boyo to Menchum, when ABC Bona action to Fako to Meme, Mezam, Abakwa, tears of hope they flow through from my eyes to my chest. I get the hope say Ambazonia is already free. Say this generation cannot fail, because this generation, our ASA, una know who say we come out and who say we go. Una know what we get them and what we not get them, what we want them and what we no want them. Una no even need again. Say me somante una don't show we say una ear the open, but una not the hear for no man, because una know who say una go, una know what you do, una do. When a revolution don't reach for that level, I no say nothing, no human being no go stop her. People do go talk church. They can't bring somebody talk church. They say stop, no do. They talk like say they get with best interest. But una, from the civilians, from the home front to the ASA, una know what we want her.
Right there, the audio you just listened to, the president emphasized that Ambazonians have achieved freedom, but seek international recognition of their independence and identity. Now, he concluded by reminding Ambazonians that they are in control of their lives and their independence. Now, let's take a listen to.
The one message we will don't send out for La Republic again and to the international community again, now say, these four corners, this territory, this boundary them would be put up for 1929 in a different country. No other authority in Nogo can tell una what you gonna get for do and what you not get for do. Una don't show the world say una no be slave again, will not be slave again for La Republic. Now the message that and say La Republic they no take their authority, come organize they celebrate provocation for inside our country. Then they call we mommy and papa say, "Me will come out, me will can join celebrate." So I salute una. But this one I just the teaser. Let me say, na taste, we just taste. Because La Republic of Cameroon, they be ready this year for impose the agenda for country. For take some, organize some foreign election for inside our country. Undermine with authority. Force themselves over us. But I trust Ambazonia State Armed Forces. I trust the people of Ambazonia. This year, the song we will sing now, we will not go agree, we will not go agree.
Right there, the president's heartwarming message. It sees the Ambazonian State Army. They have engaged in a long-standing struggle for Ambazonia's independence from La Republic de Cameroon. Now, despite facing challenges and controversies, the army remains determined to protect their territory and people. Now, this war has resulted in significant humanitarian concerns, with civilians often caught in the middle of this crossfire. Well, let's have Barrister Fru on. Barrister Fru, the president has called on the international community to see if the situation can change and the struggle come to an end. What do you think about the coming days? And what can you say about this heartwarming message? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, well, Tabitha, before I answer your question, let me answer what Commander Willy just asked. The negotiations with La Republic of Cameroon is going to be government to government. We have the Southern Cameroon's Ambazonian government led by His Excellency Dr. Samuel Komesako. He is the one to lay down and appoint people who are going to negotiate on behalf of Ambazonia, that will go to the negotiating table. Because in Pumban, we went to Pumban as a government. Even though nothing was achieved in Pumban, but John Wu Poncha led a government to Pumban, and Ahijo led their own government to Pumban. So it is not going to be any different. So, and we will be representing not only the government, but the Ambazonian State Army and all the organs of the government of the Southern Cameroons Ambazonia. That will be the government that will be sitting on that table and negotiating with another government on one. Now, to answer your question, in the next few days or the next few months, I can tell you that this government is working day and night diplomatically. I cannot predict what is going to happen, but I know that this year something is going to happen because the negotiations are on now, and those negotiations are being led by our president, His Excellency Dr. Samuel Komesako. He is not talking. Nobody knows what is going on. Even us talking here, we don't know what is going on, but we believe that in the near future, the international community has gotten the message from us. The international community has begun to believe in us, and the resolution of this conflict is very near. We are seeing the light in the tunnel. All Ambazonians should remain encouraged that their government is working for them. And I take this opportunity to pay homage to the head of state, His Excellency Dr. Samuel Komesako, who has pushed this struggle to the level in which it is. We have never been this close to liberation since the beginning of our struggle, since the beginning of our invasion by La Republic of Cameroon. Here we are today, thanks to the visionary Dr. Samuel Komesako and his team. He's not alone. We are not talking, nobody's talking, he is not talking because diplomacy, Tabitha, is quiet. It's quiet. You don't let the cat out until the cat itself is ready to come out. Thank you very much.
Very much for that powerful perspectives. Well, over to Barrister Mbeseha. Barrister Mbeseha, the president in his speech expressed his involvement as part of the struggle, which means the president sees and he feels the intensity of the struggle. But then, taking you a little back to the flash news in West Africa, revolting against France's dominance and La République du Cameroon. And this seems to be, La République du Cameroon seems to be conspicuously silent. Now we see it in Burkina Faso with Ibrahim Traoré spearheading a revolution inspiring the youth all over West Africa. But the old Pobia keeps dining with France just to remain a helm of control. Now, this brings us to Ambazonian struggle for determination, self-determination. As the revolution is on, don't you think this could be a moment for Ambazonia? Barrister Mbeseha.
I didn't get your last question. This could be a moment for Ambazonia to... I didn't get your last...
Okay, the last question is, don't you think this could be a moment for Ambazonia, going by the level of defiance in West Africa with President Ibrahim Traoré, and the La République du Cameroon dancing to the tune of France? Don't you think it's a moment with this level of revolution going on in West Africa? Don't you think it's a moment for Ambazonia?
Sure, it is a moment for Ambazonia, just like it is a moment for every freedom-loving people in Africa. That is what it is. Because we all agree, or most people agree, that France is the problem. One, colonial masters are the problem. And so anything that will take us out of that colonial bondage, whether it is France or black on black, that is Yaoundé over Ambazonia, it's the same thing. It's a moment for us to free ourselves. But let us go a little bit. We are making a review of the so-called National Unity Day celebration, May 20th. And then marrying it with the congratulations from the president to our ASAs. I think unless we miss something, we are by far very, very, very successful. I've had the opportunity on one of these broadcasts to say that what Yaoundé is pretending to do, they're pretending to return to normalcy, not a victory over Ambazonia, over May 20th celebration. Otherwise, from their own narrative, this is a National Unity Day celebration of Cameroon. How can they explain that their National Unity Day celebration is only being focused on Ambazonia, on Buya, on Bamenda? Why are they forcing chiefs to march in Buya? Why are they not forcing the same chiefs to march in Kribi, to march in Beretua, to march in Garawa, and other parts of the so-called national territory of Ambazonia? They've told them all their narration is on Ambazonia. That means they understand this message. They've lost this battle academically. They've lost it practically. But what they are trying to gain is trying to get a moral age to claim that there's a return to normalcy. That's why they will force people to one march. And again, like my friend UN would say, those who are not informed are deformed. If you saw what happened, for example, in Bamenda, just take Bamenda. Before May 20, a few days before that, they are wrapping up everybody in bamboo, catching children and locking them up. Why are they not locking up people in Beretua, where there's another university, in Garawa University, in Marawa, and all those other places? Why was the crime of these children in Bamenda? The day, a few days before that, they are forcing women in Moyoka, in Malende, stealing money from them, doing all those sort of things to hurt them. It is all to force a return to normalcy, which is actually they've lost the battle. So again, what we need to take home from this? This was May 20th. It is one so many who had May 20th, 2024, 2023. They have been doing that all the past 7 years. trying to force a return to normalcy, which does not so. They themselves don't buy it. Because a forced obedience is not obedience at all. And as I said, those who are not informed are deformed. That refers to ourselves, to our own brothers and sisters who are saying the narrative of return to normalcy. And if you want to call them by name, by their names, where was Mbelamoki, who lives in Boya there? When they forced his cousins, his brothers to go and march and call themselves chiefs, where was he? These are Fako chiefs. Where was Mafani, who lives in Yaoundé, when they were forcing his own people to go and march? And he, with his truth or whatever commission he hates, did not go out to say this is wrong. He has not seen them forcing Garawako to march, forcing people in the Eastern Province. Talk less of forcing people in Yaoundé. In fact, in Yaoundé, they are preventing people from marching. In Douala, they are preventing people from marching by limiting the attendance. But us, they are forcing us to go and march to show that we are a first part of the nation. And I saw somewhere where people were going to march. That was the most interesting one I found. Then somewhere in Momo. The guys who were being forced to go and march, they were already marching actually there. But everybody had his or her face covered. Nobody wanted to be identified with the marching. So it is pretentiousness. Try to harvest where you did not sow. And so, again, to your question, can we take an advantage on this? Can we be proud of what is going on in Africa, around the world? Yes. But while they are rejoicing for driving away France, for driving away the colonial master, we are encouraged to drive away La République, which is playing exactly the same role to Ambazonia that France plays to Cameroon, that France plays to Ivory Coast, or in our French-speaking country. So black on black colonialism is as bad as white on black colonialism. And so we take a cue from there. I just pray, my wish is that we don't have again to celebrate another May 20th in 2026. By 2026, we would have gotten out of this mess. And so let us not be disturbed with the propaganda from here only, with the trick to show that there is no mercy. Again, I've said many times, propaganda is part of the struggle. Propaganda is a legitimate tool in war. But propaganda fails when you're able to send the message to the people. When the people understand what they're doing. Let our people who are not be informed. If up to this point you're not getting informed, you are deformed. And so we don't hope to celebrate another May 20th. We're fighting for it again in 2026. Hopefully by 2026 we'll already be in Boya, celebrating what we want, organizing our communities the way we want. Over to you.
Fellow Ambazonians, fellow Ambazonia State Armed Forces, na the voice for una CICDs, President Sako, today, na May the 24th, 2025, I just come for can talk say, on behalf of the voice of our ancestors, our heroes, dead and alive, congratulations. Congratulations to all our Ambazonia State Armed Forces, from Fako to Dongamanto, from Mezam to Bui, from Goketunja to Meme, from Dian to Boyo, from Manu to Momo, from Menchum to Lebialem. We honor you, we throw a salute, we lift you up. When I be see bona action from Kupema Nenguba to Ndian and places where we be think say it don't finish, from Boyo to Menchum, when I be see una action to Fako to Meme, Mezam, Abakwa, tears of hope they flow through from my eyes to my chest. I get the hope say Ambazonia is already free. Say this generation cannot fail. Because this generation, our ASA, una know who say we come out and who say we go. Una know what we get them and what we no get them. What we want them and what we no want them. Una no even need again. Say me somante una. Una don't show we say. Una ear the open, but una no the hear for no man. Because una know who say una go, una know what you do, una do. When the revolution don't reach for that level, I no say nothing. No human being no go stop her. People they go talk church. They can bring some money, talk church. They say stop, no do. They talk like say they get with best interests. But una from the civilians, from the home front to the ASA, una know what we want them. Una know who say we go and which we fight for. I salute una. I salute all man. My prayer na say una we take responsibility, we take charge because the thing with this lockdown don't do, who will do them for this 20th May lockdown, for these 5 days. No be enough for honor any human being. The one message we wanna don't send them for the Republic again and to the international community again, now say, these four corners, this territory, this boundary them, will be put up for 1929 in a different country. No other authority in no go can tell una what you gonna get for do and what you not get for do. When I don't show the world, say, when I no be slave again, will not be slave again for La Republic. Now the message that, and say La Republic, they no go take their authority, come organize, they celebrate provocation for inside our country. Then they call we mommy and papa, say, me will come out, me will can join celebrate. So I salute una. But this one, I just, the teaser, let me say, na taste, we just taste. Because La Republic, the Cameroon, they be ready this year for impose the agenda for country, for take some, come make organize some foreign election for inside our country, undermine with authority, force themselves over us. But I trust Ambazonia State Armed Forces. I trust the people of Ambazonia. This year, the song we go sing now, we will not go agree, we will not go agree. The world must see, say, we don't restore our nation, our independence, our sovereignty. I think that some people they talk say, may we call ourselves the way United Nations. No, I don't know what they talk. Escape we fight now for go for La Republic, for United Nations, for say may they tell we what will go happen. No, that one at time will be the do a force of argument. Now we don't already go above force of argument. We don't restore our independence. Now we the only defender. And when a country don't get the independence, by taking it, it don't be like human being where it don't be born. That person get for call a name as he like. We call ourselves what we like. Then the world go recognize her. You know if you call yourself nothing, you say until any name where the world call we, that will go take up. No. You tell we your name. Anybody will come for you, they ask you now, what will be your name? You tell the person your name, they start call you for that name. I don't know any man where they be born for the ground, because the birth certificate for any nation are independence. I don't know any country, any place where they be born for the ground, you don't get no name. He talks any name where they go call me now, where I go answer. Take your name. The only two you fight for now, say the world must recognize we. And La Republic must call we by that name. Anybody in the world must call we by that name. No man go tell me, say, make I change my name before he go call me the name with me they call myself. That means say, our freedom, therefore we hand, in order for nobody hand. And Ambazonia State Armed Forces, and our home front, our civil society, our mommy and papa them, when I don't show we, when I don't show me, say true, our destiny, is therefore we hand. I will not go agree. So God bless you, and no say, with this spirit, Ambazonia is already free. And no one no go can put the authority over us again. It's over. Thank you, Ambazonia State Armed Forces. Send this message for all my generals, all the colonels, all the mission commanders, all the foot soldiers. Send them, encourage them. Say we will be encouraged and we stand together till we reach Boya. God bless you.
Welcome back once again. That was the head of state, commander-in-chief of the Ambazonian State Armed Forces and president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, with an inspiring message, particularly for the brave men and women at the home front who have pledged their blood to ensure the freedom of the people of Ambazonia. So much for us to unpack in that 5 minutes. We've summarized it. The original audio was about 8. We had to crop some spaces. It's about 5 to 6 minutes audio of the president there. So much for us to unpack. You had Tabitha Ako already analyzing it with the barristers there, some aspects which I'm going to bring there. But before we even move into the next part of this conversation, which I know a lot of you are watching and waiting, and I call you to keep sharing and telling people we are there to get into the concluding phase. I want to say a very special thank you to the stakeholders of ABC Amba TV from Europe and all around the world last week for ABC Day. Most of you successfully did your subscription A lot of you have been giving your donations. This communication is made possible because of the efforts that you are putting in place, and we do recognize them. I would also like to thank Tabitha Ako, young, beautiful, intelligent girl there. She was standing for more than 90 minutes, giving to us undaunted form of report. Let's look into something very instrumental this evening. A few minutes ago, we had the Secretary of State for Communication and IT sharing this very important information, which I thought I should bring because it lays the foundation of the face of this tonight's conversation. And so you would see there that Stibonach, we know he is being unrepentant with his opinion that the people of Southern Cameroons deserve the right to determine their future. And this is Stibonach there telling the world once again in this platform. X is the platform. It's the place where every man that matters, every policy maker in the world that matters, places their eye. And Stibonach is not another kind of a politician. This is the former ambassador of the United States. He's worked with the State Department and was recently called up by President Donald Trump for a temporary duty, which he delivered successfully. And he has not repented in his opinion to continuously tell the world that there are some people you must not forget about because their plight is historical, their plight is legal. So in this X or tweet by Stibonach earlier today, he says the Cameroon regime can pretend all is well in celebrating its National Day, but a closer look shows the truth. The lack of justice for Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians, is splitting the nation more each day. Symbolic ceremonies of unity are empty. It brings the question and begs the question that Dr. Mungwa was provoking in the platforms, and I think it's the best time for us to talk about it. There are those who have called Stibonach any kind of name, probably because his opinion as a non-Ambazonian, they're expecting him to align 100% to Ambazonia. But I don't think I know of any diplomats of his caliber that has been bold enough, has been consistent enough like Stibonach. Interestingly, I was talking to Dr. Mungwa a few months ago, just before the inauguration of Donald Trump. And when Ambazonians were struggling, the president should send evidence of his invitation. I had the invitation 2 days before the president went for that inauguration. And the details of their meeting with Stibonach, it was not any kind of meeting. It was not a Zoom town hall. It was a dinner between the president of Ambazonia and Stibonach. He was actually briefing them, consulting with them before taking up the temporary duty at the State Department. And this is an important friend of Ambazonia. I've joined my forces with Barrister Mbeseha today to admonish Ambazonians to give him some respect in spite of the difference of viewpoints. Maybe I should begin with you, Barrister Mbeseha, in this debate. Please talk to us.
I don't know whether we'll keep records of what we say here all the time. If we do, are you getting me?
We do keep records. We keep records, and that's why we're aligning with you, because for months you have your encouraged us to be respectful towards
I was just trying to say that our followers know my stand as far as Stibonach is concerned. They know my stand as far as foreign diplomats are concerned. And so what he has said is what I've always said, that we should be mindful of how we criticize them. Tibu Nash might no longer be in the administration, but he's still a very useful instrument to us. How can we use him? Tibu Nash is in his private house, in his private business, but he has knowledge of our problem. Above all, he knows the people in the administration by name. He might even have their contact information. And so this is a useful person to help us. Deriding him, one way or the other, in my opinion, has never been a good thing. If he says 10 things, and 2 or 3 of them turn out not to be what we like, let go what you don't like, and dwell on what you like, because it's still very, very useful to us. And he has insisted on different occasions to support our case. What he has put there in a very short 2-3 sentences is what it is. We will put that thing in 100 sentences, but he has put it in just in 1 sentence. Symbolic celebration of unity are empty, he says, which is as simple as that. And then the issue of Southern Cameroon, Ambazonia calls it, is pleading that it's breaking the country. Splitting is paying the firewood. That's simple, as simple as that. 2 sentences speak the whole thing for anybody who doesn't understand. And so those are people who should capitalize on what they say. Because he is more than saying. He can lead us to action. He can tell us where to go. He can tell us where not to go. He can tell us what to say when we go there and what not to say. And so I've always stood in favor of that. Yes, I should put it in your own narrative. Our supporters, or those who sympathize with us, are not bound to use our words. They are not bound to speak 100% what we speak, but they are just bound to have the same vision that we have. And we let go. Again, I can give this as an example. This has passed. Remember a few months ago, we had this Sangha who was there with his ICC thing. And I said, look, it's not time for us to find Masanga. I called Masanga. I've never said this. I said, look, you can go on with your program, whatever you are doing. But whatever you want to say about Ambazonia, if you want to say it, never you post as you attempt to challenge this government. Put all your information there. Because we're not rivaling with you. Say what you want to say, but never you ever in your program try to show that you are challenging the Ambazonian government. And you listen to it, you have never done that again. So we can criticize ourselves, we can hit our chest and press ourselves. But when strangers, foreigners come in to say something about us, let us pick what is good and move on. Tibu Nash is a particular person because he knows the terrain very well. He was in Douala, the consulate, before moving to the embassy in Yaoundé. So when we talk about Ambazonia, I don't know how many times he went to Nimbe, just driving from Douala to and swim in Nimbe, just going to Chico. So he knows the terrain, he knows the history, he knows the people who live there. And so we can only say that's congratulations. Let us capitalize on what he says. Try to exploit what we can get out of it by those who have his contact. Contacting him. Now, if you're no longer in administration, can you help us know who to go to? That would be a more better thing to do than to spend time criticizing him. Doesn't matter.
That's an amazing intervention there. Barrister Fru, you know, you both have always been here with us through this journey, and you're always the value of such an utterance made in such a platform at a time when Yaoundé is seeking to take a man suffering from, is it dementia or what, to do some propaganda. We actually saw Shantabia was the one orientating him during the so-called National Day. It's so instrumental that Tibu Nash will post the word National Day on X with some sarcasm, because quote, if somebody says this is my National Day and you put it in quotation, you are questioning the legitimacy of that claim. Coming from a high-profile diplomat like Tibu Nash is something that Ambazonians must be proud of. Barrister Fru, please.
Yes, Paddy, thank you very much. Ambassador Tibu Nash is a very experienced diplomat. He's not only experienced, he also knows Africa more than any American diplomat that I know. And secondly, he knows Cameroon very well because he has lived and worked in Cameroon for quite a while. He became the Undersecretary for African Affairs at the time that we were in big trouble with La République du Cameroon and were fighting. Timo Nash was very instrumental for the successes that the first Trump administration scored in Ambazonia, for Ambazonia, during the hard days when the fighting was raging. First, he negotiated and got Cameroon out of AGOA. He negotiated and got the military accord with Cameroon cancelled and equipment taken away, and even the equipment that were allowed, a warning that those equipment should not be used to fight the civil war in Cameroon vis-a-vis Ambazonia. We have never doubted the strength and the knowledge of this wonderful American diplomat. At one point, a lot of intellectuals, Ambazonia intellectuals in and out of government disagreed with him on one issue, and only one issue: the issue of a referendum that Chris Handover took and ran away with. That is the only bone of contention that a lot of Ambazonian pro-government and intellectual people disagreed with him. But Ambazonians have never lost sight of the fact that Timo Nash is a very, very effective diplomat, a very, very knowledgeable diplomat, and to tell you the truth, a pro-African diplomat. Because the post of Undersecretary for African Affairs was brought into limelight when Timo Nash was handling it. Today that I'm talking to you, right now where we're talking, I don't even know who the Undersecretary for African Affairs is. But in the first Trump administration, Timo Nash was an Undersecretary, and every African, most Africans knew him because he was effective on the continent. He is somebody that you cannot ignore. And he is not in the habit of not speaking his mind. He always speaks his mind. And I can tell you, we're lucky to have him serve on the African continent, because the evolution of what is happening in Africa today needs intelligent diplomats, needs effective diplomats like Timo Nash. Because look at what is happening in Africa. We need to liberate, Africans need to liberate themselves. When you say liberate yourself, doesn't mean that you will not have friends. And in order to have friends, you should have people who will make that possible. But if you have friends who would make it impossible, you will choose liberation rather than choose those who make your liberation impossible. Timo Nash is a liberator. He's a diplomat. He himself he came into this country young, as a young refugee, and he has never forgotten that. So today we pay homage to him, knowing that whatever he says that is not agreeable to us, we will have to disagree as intellectuals, but make sure that we do not hurt our relations with this wonderful diplomat. Thank you very much, Paddy.
That's amazing right there. I know we have a lot to say that Commander Willy, you're not directly implicated. There are some issues I want us to tackle so that you can probably let the barristers conclude the part a lot of Ambazonians are looking up to, which is the way Britain has been acting. Last year, at the same time, Barrister Fru, we were plunged into a conversation that had to do with questioning the special status. It is the responsibility of this platform to always bring back to remembrance things that are important to foster our narrative to the world. So right now, on Thursday, there is a strange agreement that Britain has yielded to. And in that agreement, the UK is supposed to hand over the control of the Chagos Island to Mauritius. Now, when I read closely, I find there's something very interesting. It says that so that they can protect the US, UK military security interests in that area. So we're going to get back there, and I'm telling Ambazonians to know that's a discussion. Why then should we not? Why is Britain staying silent when they're directly involved in a botched decolonization of the southern Cameroons? How should the government position its diplomacy enough in the way that it will provoke the British current government? All diplomats, we've heard the House of Lords a couple of times make some statements. The positioning of the government to this is quite important to the people of Ambazonia. But before we get to that, there's something happening in Manu that I want Commander Willy to talk about, and also still talk further about the elections. We've heard your stance, and we know your position. It is the Eyong Akem Ako forest. Eyong Akem Ako forest is not for sale. Buyers and illegal occupants beware. So there is a concern, and this is directly in your county, Commander Willy. Do you want to tell us what is happening there? We know Cameroon has been exploring timber for a while. What's the state of affairs? What is the interest in this environment? I'm going to try to see if I could bring the image on screen so Ambazonians will understand what is happening before we can let you leave before, and then we get into this conversation. Please, Commander, talk to us.
Yes, thank you, Director Paddy. Fellow Ambazonians, we don't notice and say for the past, Cameroon army, as for the fight for pushing out of your country, some of the armies and civilians from La Republic, they come for inside Ambazonia, they can't grab land. So it happened for Manu, for Upper Bayang area, where they come for can they seize land, they seize their forest them, by Francophone them. And as such, we'll be tear them for ground, say this, so Upper Bayang, it no be for sale, and the whole Ambazonia, it no be for sale. From Fako to Manu, to Kubit Maninguba, to all the 13 county, Ambazonia no be for sale. So now the thing the way they send for where they put that for ground, people for ground, they be put a signboard. So we encourage, I don't know that one of this here. We encourage every county, make the people them for ground, they write the signboard like this, put them for ground. The one they had shown at the picture, so it did live for ground for Upper Bayang area, where the population they put down. So that way, people that want enter for a land, see this land, it not be for sale. That way, it will keep buyers them, and grabbers them offline. Because as Cameroon government, it go around, it impose, it chiefs them, it take quarter head them, it turn them to chief, it make them a village, make the controller. We're not correct. But if you don't mind, sometimes when we talk for pidgin, those Francophone they know they get the message correctly. So give me 1 minute, make a talk for the talk where they go understand them. Mais pour tous les francophones, les gens qui viennent à Eboloa, Petoa, Bafoussam, et quelque part, nous sommes différents contre vous. Vous êtes l'étranger dans Ambazonie. En français, on a dit que conjuguer le verbe être, le participe passé s'accorde à genre et à nombre. Et si le nombre vient avant de la verbe. Quand j'étais à l'école, je ne comprends pas la mot que le professeur francophone t'a dit. Mais je veux dire une chose. On ne vendrait pas à Ambazonie. La terre d'Ambazonie, on ne vendrait pas ça. Mais vous avez entré chez nous pour payer la terre. Mais si tu payes la terre, ton la gens là, on t'a dit en pidgin English, Njo, tu es mourir Njo. Si on attrape dans notre forêt, on va te tuer. Si tu es Bami, si tu es francophone, tu ne veux pas occuper un peu. I cannot put it. If you be francophone, you know go take any land for instance Ambazonia you own. We catch you for your bush, your name not die. We catch you for your bush, your name not die. Frenchman, francophone, no go own any cocoa farm. You can be seized by all Ambazonians. You know go own no cocoa farm, you know go own no banga farm, you know go own no two party, nothing at all. So as this happen for Upper Bayan, maybe all Upper Bayan, for Fako, they cash grab land and they sell them. We own people, the Ambazonia picking them, they remain as slaves inside Ambazonia. Anglophones and Ambazonia people, they don't go for Douala. They don't reach for Douala, some of them buy land, Francophone, they don't see them. They go wait, Anglophone, they go grow crops. Time for harvest time, Francophone, they go harvest a crop. You want to talk, they say go back, renter chez vous. We not guys side for go again. We come from Francophone side, we buy small land for the, we cultivate them. One harvest for a chop, they seize them. They say, now when I come, what do I can do for your land? We come up for our own land again. When I come born again, when I drive for again. If we catch any man in foot inside our land, ASA, mobile wing there when I take note. Anybody when I see them for a land, Francophone side bush, and wipe and we go, right? You need not die. We're not going to be slave for our land again. We're not going to be slave. Over to you. My French no clear. My way get them, you don't get the message. Me, I don't let me down on a French thing, but I don't try my own part. Over to you, sir.
So that is Manu collectively standing against the exploitation and exploration of the forest in Manu and many other things. It is important because, for instance, when I used to drive Boya, the new road, you see a road that was constructed and you have timbers passing every single day into Douala, and we can't even see the development. But there's something important you brought in there, which I'd like the lawyers to contribute very briefly. It has to do with the land grabbing, the two party, double party is somebody exploiting your farm or your forest or why. But there is a strategic attempt right now, and we see Atanganji is doing it in the Midlands, where in Akum he is now renaming. It's a dismantling of everything that belongs to Ambazonia, either by taking what is Ambazonian and giving to foreigners, or dismantling our structures in a very strategic way. So I want you, the both of you, to speak very briefly, linking it to what is happening in Manu now, encouraging others to come together. We saw the other day people in Santa and Akum protesting against what Tanganji is doing. So both of you would have to contribute briefly so we can move on into the discussion that we hope to do this evening. I begin with you, Barrister Mbeseha.
Well, we thank Commissioner Willy for giving us the information. But the most important thing is for us to understand that forest exploitation in Manu is not starting now. This is different from what is going on in Akum. In Akum, Atangaji is trying to carve out territory for an Akum man. I'm not sure that whoever wants to benefit from the forest exploitation in Manu is even an Ambazonian.
Yeah.
This were exploiting the forest in Manu earlier. I don't know where they stopped. We're never Ambazonians. The issue is who was exploiting the timber and what has Manu gained out of the exploitation. That is Manu in particular and Ambazonia in general. What did they gain? What have they gained from the forest exploitation there? They're just, by trying to sell or lease it out, they're just doing an extension of what they've been doing in Upper Bayan. No, not in Upper Bayan, in the Bayan, in the central subdivision of the area. I remember when I was there, we discovered, in fact, we discussed it, the greatest beneficiary of what was going on from the timber exploitation in Manu was it Chief Tabe Tando, who got the royalties for himself, leaving a set of companies and so on and so forth. And so it's good that the people of the Upper Bayan are getting aware of these things. Forest is part of the natural resources that we have. If they must be exploited, which I'm sure they would, be properly the benefit of the benefit of Cameroon or Ambazonia in a larger context. And so it is good that they've come to this awareness and they are protesting. But as far as right, all that is very, very good. But would they listen to them? To whom does Yaoundé listen? Do they listen to the people who hold themselves out in Yaoundé as elites, actors of the community, or they listen to the people who are on the ground? The people writing that thing there, they're just ordinary farmers, ordinary people who live there. What do they get out of it? They hunt there. Maybe they grow some crops. But the people who go signing out these deals and giving out the land to the people are not the people who are living on the ground. They are self-imposed elites who will do all that for them. But at least the people are aware of what is going on. It is not necessary for sale. It should be for exploitation. The forest should not be exploited for nothing, talkless of being sold. Because, again, what are they trying to do? Get out of there? They're trying to get out wood, timber. And to the best of my knowledge, that forest they're talking about there is a larger, an extension of the famous Koro Park. The Koro extends right to Dian. It is supposed to be protected land because of rare species of trees, because of rare species of animals and things that you can find inside there. It is supposed to be protected. So why are they exploiting it this way? It's wrong. People have come to the realization of that what is going on is wrong. But again, those very people writing those things should be very careful of their own sons and daughters who live in Yaoundé, who sign out that thing for purposes of occupying positions in Yaoundé, who sign out that thing for purposes of getting money in their private bank accounts based in Douala, Yaoundé, or even abroad. And so that's the better information I have. That's the best advice I can give. Over to you.
Yeah, Barrister Fru, please.
Yes, Commander Willy, thank you for that, for bringing us this information. Because information that I got is that after Kendem going down towards Manthe, there is a very large forest, and everybody is grabbing and planting cocoa. Cocoa is being produced now in that area in large quantity. And I've been told that there are very huge Francophone farmers that have taken over that a lot of land, a lot of forest after Kendem. Well, on the Manthe Road from Bamenda going down, passing Kendem, that big forest, Francophones and some Francophones are now exploiting and planting cocoa and taking land title. There will be a solution. There will be a solution when we recover our sovereignty. The solution will be we will go back to the English system of owning land, certificate of occupancy. Before the general principle is that the government of the Southern Cameroons and Ambazonia is the owner of all the lands within its territorial boundary. That's the general principle. Secondly, the government will sign certificate of occupancy for all the natives of the Southern Cameroons and Ambazonia to own and operate on their land. They call that certificate of occupancy. It is not land certificate. It's not land certificate that La Republic issues to people. That we will go back to it, and every foreigner from La Republic of Cameroon, more especially, you will have to prove how you got the land in order to obtain your certificate of occupancy from the Southern Cameroon's government. And that will be a solution. For now, they are exploiting our land, and our natives should stand up and make sure that they are driven away while the iron is still hot. Because if we allow it, Before you know it, all that large forest in Manu would be occupied, particularly in Upper Bayang, it will be occupied by La Republic of Cameroon citizens, exploiting it for their economic advantage. So that is why I congratulate you, Commander Willy, and your team for putting that notice, putting every one of them on notice that the forest is not beyond, is not open to you for whatever reason. Paddy, I'm talking about after Condemn, you know where I'm talking about. There's a lot to cocoa now. Right now.
It start in Condemn. What you're saying starts in Condemn, because the people in Condemn, where I come from, have always been comfortable to give their land to the people coming from Guneku, coming in from Matien, coming in from Tikom in Widikum, because these are good farmers. When they come in, they get land from Bienjong. Bienjong is the border town of Condemn that leads into Togo. So we are comfortable based on policy to give land to the people.
But today,
but now,
today, Paddy,
the Francophones are coming with very strange permissions from Tabetanyu and from Mamfe, and they are invading the place like you mentioned. So it begins from Bienjong, getting right down into Togo and all of that. So it's a situation that I think is strategic, because the people there are just grumbling, but they can't do anything. We have to talk with them, and that's why we're here. So I want to thank you, gentlemen, for bringing that contribution. Commander Willy, before I give you a goodbye so I can finish up with the lawyers and the last aspect of our conversation, I want you to talk a little bit. It was a successful 20th May. You have spoken a lot already with Tabitha, but in projection of Cameroon scheming, you heard the president there saying that Cameroon is doing everything they can to undermine our sovereignty come October, because there are those who want to emotionally blackmail the state army for going after civilians who are contravening the orders from the government not to participate in any elections. But here is the point. These are a people desperately fighting to protect sovereignty. If an election organized by a foreign state is happening in Ambazonia, it's an unfortunate thing. It failed in 2018. Cameroon wants to tell the world that, listen, the war is ending now. It has to continue now. So what actually is the projection? You may not want to give to us strategies, but that will be your final statements of tonight. Please talk to us.
Yes, fellow Ambazonian, she shake no day. We hear as President Sarkozy to say, we no go green. We no go green for the 13 county and 61 LGA. The independence of a country, they only be gotten by the fighting unit. It will be gotten by the civilian population as a whole. 100% for everything for ground, while on a lockdown, on a ghost town, they be enforced all over Ambazonia State Army. Now the will of the people. Now the people, they get this war. I see most of people that they call this war say crisis. That they call and say struggle. Unless we have to understand, so therefore war, and we put them for people at the head. Say now war will therefore, now they will understand for change their behavior and the narrative. Moving forward, anytime when I hear the word normancy, when I don't say normancy, me say lie. Normancy in a French word for English, it means say lie. When Frenchman say normancy, that means say na lie. So as we move forward, where they talk about election not mean apart from our vocabulary. So as far as the Fru be talk, I'm saying a felony, and again, they against, we not get nothing to do with them. What are they putting a rule for their country? You not get nothing to do with us for Ambazonia. Anybody where you go chop with Cameroon army, he help with Cameroon army their election, he go die with Cameroon army their election. Now the enemy that will fight them. Now people in any way he promote Cameroon army, Cameroon agenda for election. Now say now those way they want put for slave. By the way, may all tell us them, they know all man for where get stuff for ground making they sell anything we concern got on a Cameroon flag. Cameroon election balloting them, anything concern Cameroon flyer for anything for election. Make una know them. If you get them for your store, that store they go wipe them out. If you get them for your house, they go wipe them out. You know, go say no banner. You know, go promote nothing will concern election for Cameroon for La Republic. We'll never be them. We'll never be them. I will never ever be them. So, fellow Ambazonian State Army, we'll get the only one assignment for do. Now, for shoot and kill anything where they disturb way, make we not be free. Now all that. When they born Pekin, the oblique cord they hang between the navel for my Pekin and for the mommy. As a medical professional myself, for hospital doctors they do it in they cut the umbilical cord. They cut them. When doctor cut the umbilical cord, it never destroy the Pekin nor the mommy, but it don't separate them. Make the Pekin it can live freely. It not be so for leave the umbilical cord, make mommy and Pekin they communicate, they remain together. But they don't cut them. So Ambazonia State Army, the umbilical cord between us, Ambazonia, and them, La Republic. Now those way they come fall inside the crack for to say will be one, will be this, will be this. Now the enemy therefore shoot and kill them. Anybody will go home with independence for back. We don't be free already. Now the umbilical cord remain. Umbilical cord is composed of those way they take bribe. Whether you be Ambazonia State Army where you take bribe, that means now you hold the umbilical cord. You don't hold that rope. Now the rope, you don't hold the rope. See, where they don't hold for time. Like this one for the cell phone, this one and this. Now the phone this. That said, now Ambazonia this, now La Republic this. We don't dislodge. Once you carry out things them, dancers them, when they go dance to do, then they promote all this thing. We know the fight against CPDM. Ambazonia government know the fight against CPDM. We don't get no problem with CPDM. Ambazonia government the fight against the Federal Republic of Cameroon, La Republic. Will be a country, they'll be a different country. Whether it be CPDM, any party, anything, as long as you go against Ambazonia rules and regulation, for go against our boundary, first enter inside our boundary, now already a crime. So moving forward, Ambazonia State Army effective now, as I hear this message. Anybody where you can talk about election or anything, when I go take it out of the game. When I go take it out of the game. And anybody who can talk to Ambazonia, make a Ambazonia flag, not be La Republic flag. Because Cameroon Army they for a land, they occupy our land, and they now decided they parade, they march over our territory. Some people they go to say this so Ambazonia when they fight, when I know the whole land for grappa. President Sako for these 5 days, he don't show now. Say you know the whole part of the land, all the land they under Ambazonia control and command. He don't call 5-day lockdown when I don't see him who be in charge. When I don't see President Sako be in charge, they organize war draft for coordinate and correlate things. Last but not the least, Paddy, some part that we be talking will be avoid me when we come to Thibault Nash. The one I will talk personally. Mr. Thibault Nash will thank you as a statesman for United States. But as a diplomat, me I not be a diplomat. As a diplomat, if you write any kind of thing, if you know carry an effect, then it don't mean anything. When we are fighters, Ambazonia State Army, they for ground, they die, they don't go read their language, it makes sense for their head. They go worry now when you give them gun, may they protect themselves. Now they go say, Papa, that you right, it makes sense. We get men and women them, mommy and Papa, they don't kidnap and put them for jail. Like I do carry myself. Former President Ayuk Tabe, he did for jail. And other ambassadors did for jail. Mr. Thibault Nash, if you write all these things, if you don't give gun, we will fight, protect, and remove them. They know all this you're writing, you know go help. Mr. Thibault Nash, we get people from Nigeria as refugees. You yourself, you know, be based on the school teacher. You know what we mean for take care for people. You go write all these things, we respect and say. But if you give me weapons, make we fight and defend my people them, so that may they come back home, give them dignity again, it will help. Mr. Thibault Nash, you see how Cameroon government go for school within this time of for May. They go kidnap our brothers and sisters for Bambili, for Bamenda. They go for Boya, for Ekuna, they kidnap people, then carry and go for unknown location. We don't know side the day. Mr. Thibault Nash, we know if you carry paper, we write them, we go show Cameroon and say, sit to Mr. Thibault Nash, write them. They don't go respect them. Give me gun. Make we carry that gun, we go find our sisters. If you be a diplomat for 100 years, you write all paper. If you not deliver, that means you never finish. Deliver by giving us weapons, make we defend ourselves. Thank you for your service for America. Thank you for your service for Ambazonia. Over to you.
And that was the chairman himself of Manu County and the security chief of the Ambazonian State Army in Manyo County. Thank you, Commander Willy, for your time. I don't know if you would love to still stay with us as we examine the historical aspects of this, but I think we are just about concluding the show with this discussion. So it will be of no need for me to keep you longer again. You were given a framework to Ambazonians, the Ambazonian State Army, the people at the home front, ahead of October 1. The October elections in Ambazonia is criminal. Therefore, no Ambazonian born should participate in it by any shape or form, either with an electoral card or a campaign uniform or a participant of any political party in Ambazonia. That's amazing. Now, moving forward, we need to get into the subject of today, which is in conclusion. It is what has provoked discussions this evening, and that has to do with Commander Willy is still here, if I'm not mistaken. Are you still here, sir? Okay, finally he left. He finally left. So we're going to be talking about what happened that has provoked conversation in Ambazonia. And a lot of people want to participate in this conversation. If this is happening, it involves Britain. Our story is intricately linked with the United Kingdom. First, before we get into what is happening in the technicalities of Chagos Island, what would you have to say about the UK's current attitude towards the plight of the people of Southern Cameroon? I begin with you, Barrister Fru.
Yes, Paddy, I read an article written by a native of that island. She was regretting that after that agreement, she would not even be able to go home. Because the agreement is with Mauritius. But the natives of that island, they wanted their own autonomy, which the British have not given. The British have signed off that island to Mauritius and claim it is to protect the security, the British security and that of the United States because of the military presence of the United States military bases in that island. That is the reason. The British abandoned us. While we don't know the real reason, but it has to do with something that happened in the United Nations. It's like they sold us off to the French and abandoned us. They did not decolonize us like the French decolonized La République de Cameroon. Like most of the trust territories were decolonized except the southern Cameroons. Why did the British do it? They were angry. This is suspicion now. They were angry that during the plebiscite, we did not vote to join Nigeria to come under their control. So we don't need them. And they abandoned us and we lived on our own until we were invaded by La République de Cameroon in the night on the 30th of September 1961. The British were so angry with us that when the Union Jack was being lowered down in Boya, instead of handing the Union Jack to Poncha to symbolize the fact that they have left the territory and handed power to the people who own the territory, they handed it to Ahijo. Like they sold us. To them, who did not exist anymore. And therefore, they did not come as mandated by Resolution 1608, they were not interested in the negotiations between us and La Republique of Cameroon, the two governments, because that resolution actually named the UK, the United Nations, the government of Southern Cameroon, and the government of La Republique of Cameroon to sit down and negotiate the terms of how we were going to join as a country. They abandoned us. The UN also saw that, and since the British were not there, they didn't care. Everybody abandoned us. Now, what has just happened in that agreement that they've signed with Mauritius, they should be asking themselves if they signed it because of the importance of the military presence on that island by the United States that will protect both the British and the United States. Are they sending us a message that the Southern Cameroons, as it is now, with all the resources underground and in the air and on land and the people, they don't mean anything to the British? Do the British know that La Republique of Cameroon is surviving up to now because of the crude oil they are drilling from the Southern Cameroons that they abandoned? Does the British know how much resources, how much natural resources can be found in Bakassi and in Dian in particular, and in Ambazonia in general? Beginning from the Murphy Basin with its rich natural resources down in the subsoil, right up to Nkambe. That means nothing compared to the military base in that island that the Mauritius will help them protect, so that the military base continue to exist to protect both the British and America. Those are questions that we need to examine, Paddy. Was I talking to myself?
You are talking to
No, getting
us
you.
because of the importance of the conversation, because of the vitality of this conversation. I don't think I want to rush you. Before we even get to find out what this is all about in details, I want to get your preamble, Barrister Mbeseha, please. It's very important that you speak before we get to find out what that deal is all about. Go ahead, Barrister Mbeseha.
Well, I think sometimes we just get confused when we mix too many things. Those islands, they're in the Indian Ocean. They're handing them to Mauritius. Mauritius is a republic. The bottom line is Mauritius is a republic. And the UK didn't share any boundary with the islands. Mauritius had independence in 1968. What it would mean is simply that because those islands officially, as of now, belong to the Mauritius, when they get the independence in 1968, they decided to keep those islands for themselves because of their strategic importance. So handing them over to Mauritius is important. But what a handover is that?
In the middle of the Indian Ocean is an island.
The British are trying to do exactly what South Africa tried to do to Namibia. South Africa wanted to give it, remember, Namibia was United Nations Trust Territory like us. They were given to South Africa to administer. Then they discovered that in Namibia, they had a very deep seaport, the best seaport in East Africa, the port of Walvis Bay. And they thought that they could give Namibia independence and retain Walvis Bay for themselves, for South Africa. It did not work. Finally, they had to give independence to Namibia to go along with Walvis Bay. What the British are trying to do is trying to do exactly like, say, give independence to Ukraine without Crimea. That is conditional independence. It doesn't make anything good. And the agreement they are claiming to sign with the American Navy and so on and so on, for 99 years. In other words, you have independence, the British will control that strategic place for landing of their ships and their friends and their allies, the Americans, for 99 years. No, that's what they gave, that's what the colonial masters have always done. Unfortunately, that was not our own case. They didn't even give us independence, for example, and retain Victoria. They didn't pretend to give us, for example, independence and keep Bakassi. They gave us nothing, and they kept nothing. That's why even the oil in Bakassi, which is as strategic as the Chagos Island, strategically, is being exploited by somebody else. And so what I would say is that the people of Mauritius, the Mauritius public, they cannot accept that. If they have to get back their island, which is exactly like Hong Kong. Hong Kong belongs to China. After 100 years or so, they had to give back Hong Kong to China, unconditionally. And so those islands belong to Mauritius. If they must sign strategic agreements with anybody in the world, with the United States, with Great Britain, with China, whoever they like, it is for the Mauritius to decide that. It's not for Britain to give them conditional return of their island by retaining some contracts over the island, which contracts the Mauritian government has no control over them. And so it is to me not acceptable because it is strategically not important, not beneficial to the Mauritius. If they have to take back the islands, just like the Chinese took back Hong Kong, they have to take back the islands. The strategic importance can bring them money, but it's not for Britain to tell them whom to sign those things. And so this is wrong. They cannot eat their cake and have it. Other Mauritius has independence and has control over its own territories, including those islands. Or they don't have independence and they fight for full independence. Conditional independence is unacceptable. That's what I can say about that.
Okay. Barrister Mbeseha, I think that was important that you brought up. Now I want us to find out some details about what this is all about. Then we try to see the need for Ambazonia to be worried with the way the British handle important issues.
A deal to hand over the Chagos Islands to Mauritius and lease back a crucial military base there for £101 million a year. The deal was blocked at the last minute after an injunction was filed at 2:30 this morning. But a High Court judge overturned the injunction earlier this afternoon. Campaigners behind the legal intervention have called it a very, very sad day. But the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has said the deal is of the utmost significance to Britain.
The base is one of the most significant contributions that we make to our security relationship with the United States, which is critical for keeping Britain safe. Almost everything we do from the base is in partnership with the US. President Trump has welcomed the deal, along with other allies.
Well, our political editor, Gary Gibbon, joins us now. Gary.
Well, that High Court case caused a bit of drama. I think Keir Starmer probably went to bed last night thinking he had a breakfast event to sign this deal, but actually that got delayed. It was mid-afternoon when he eventually got round to doing it, and what we really learnt today was the cost of the deal. It averages out over 99 years at £101 million a year given to Mauritius, who've already had the Chagos Islands ceded to them as part of this, to lease back Diego Garcia and the base there. And that amount, 3.4 billion, that the government is talking about is clearly not 99 years times 101 million. There is a Treasury accounting procedure that works out what the total is for a cost like this over many decades by trying to work it out in today's prices. What would it be worth now? But if you wait for tomorrow morning's papers, you'll see some very different estimates. Some people are saying this is actually going to cost the country 30 billion. If you can't wait for tomorrow's papers, you can see Nigel Farage tweeting it's 52 billion. But a lot of economists would accept that Treasury number, 3.4, but any number for an amount that you're giving to a country abroad, which an awful lot of people probably couldn't find on the map, is a tricky thing at a time when you are doing things like cutting benefits. And it's also quite tricky for someone like Keir Starmer, because he's seen, focus groups tell us, by people who are disenchanted with him as someone who thinks too much about abroad. He's also seen sometimes as a man who's a little bit too pernickety in some people's eyes about international law. So no wonder then that in that statement, Keir Starmer is invoking in his support a man who isn't remotely bothered by international law or domestic law sometimes, Donald Trump. And I think he feels the fact that he's got Donald Trump's endorsement on this, even though it's going to be embarrassing and difficult to get through all the talk about how much he's giving to Mauritius, that actually this will get him through this very awkward moment.
Gary, thanks very much. Well, I'm joined now by the former soldier and former Foreign Office Minister Tobias Ellwood, who used to chair the Defence Select Committee. Tobias Ellwood, is Sir Keir Starmer right that he had to sign this deal to safeguard national security?
Well, this has been difficult for any government and indeed any opposition over the last 30 to 40 years. And we've ran out of legal road. The future of the islands were always tied to Mauritius back in the 1960s when Mauritius gained its independence. But the significance of the base there cannot be overstated. It's the biggest overseas military base the Americans have. And the fact that Donald Trump, who the Americans were with the Brits the entire time went through the negotiations, says this is a good deal is worth listening to. But I stress this is very, very difficult to cede land in this way. But we ran out of room internationally, in the courts, at the UN General Assembly. And much as they were non-binding, the question you're then asked is, are we willing to ignore what the courts have said again and again and again, because they're non-binding, and say, we're going to keep it? That places us in a very difficult position of not abiding by international laws. And that's exactly what China and Russia want us to do.
Right, so is Kemi
being made, but I think it's the right one.
So is Kemi Badenoch, your leader, the Tory leader, on the side of China and Russia, as Keir Starmer has alleged? Because Mauritius is an ally of China. Some might say she has legitimate concerns.
I don't agree that Mauritius is an ally with China. Indeed, the money that is now going to go to Mauritius will actually strengthen our relationship with Mauritius. They're part of the Commonwealth. We have a good relationship with them. If anything that was causing problems was the fact that this question mark over the future of the islands still was there. When I was Africa Minister, this came up, and we tried different methods to kick this down the road because we didn't want to go there. Now it's come about. The deal was almost signed under the last government. It was delayed for different reasons. We now need to look ahead and say we've got a 99-year lease. This allows the Americans to make sure that we stay close in Diego Garcia and close to Mauritius as well.
So
not
Kemi
perfect. Of course we wouldn't want to do this,
so,
but it's not the Falklands, it's not Gibraltar, it's a very different case indeed.
Right, but so Kemi Badenoch's being disingenuous then, is she, and siding with Reform, dancing to their tune?
No, as I said, it's difficult for any government and indeed any opposition. I'm not going to get drawn into what's been said in the House of Commons. I didn't hear that. I look at this from a geopolitical, geostrategic perspective and the art of possible. What is the statecraft that actually works here? And Donald Trump, let's bring him back into the conversation. You know, he prides himself in the art of the deal. The Americans have been with us the entire way. If there was a better way of doing this, I'm sure the Americans would have found it.
So should your leader get on board and back Keir Starmer on this?
No, you keep bringing me back to that. I'm not.
Well, because there's a gulf between the two of you.
I look at this from the geopolitical, I look at this the long term, the fact that we are not having the closest relationship with America at the moment, and this will strengthen it.
Right, but she's not looking at it for the long term. She's got a short-term political hit in mind.
You can ask me as many questions as you like about what happened in the chamber today. I didn't see it. I have been following this case very closely over many, many years, as I say, as Africa and Middle East Minister. And it's not a deal that I would want to go down, but it is the deal that we've ended up with because the other choice is, as I say, for Britain to go down the road of ignoring international laws. And as a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, that takes us into a very, very dangerous place indeed.
Not all the Chagos.
That is where I wanted us to get. We had it. I wanted to lay a foundation there because this defines British attitude. It's like in many different places, you see what is happening now with Somaliland and the other state there. It is British carelessness for me, contravening international laws, British attitude. That's what provokes the talk tonight. It's quite concerning, Barrister Fru, when you look at the way Britain behaved in Somaliland and Somalia, the way they behaved with Ambazonia or the Southern Cameroons. And there's so much more about the story with Mauritius right now. And this deal is not even a fair deal for them, but it is coming at this particular time. That analysis there by Channel 4 News was important for us to bring on board. Barrister Fru, what are you thinking is the future of the Southern Cameroons, looking at the way Britain is behaving? What is the future of the Southern Cameroons when, if Britain takes any action, can they take any legal actions right now that would change the dynamics of our situation?
I tend to say no, because they have violated the very tenets of Resolution 1608 for more than 60-something years now. They don't care. They have never made an official statement on the plight of the Southern Cameroons. When the war broke out, the British have been quiet. They have buried their head in the sand. They don't care. They are reckless. They refuse to respect a United Nations resolution, even though they are members of the Security Council. And up to now, you will not hear any definitive policy coming from 10 Downing Street concerning the Southern Cameroons. What does that mean to us? Okay, like we do always say, we are the ones looking for liberation. I think with what has just happened, we should go diplomatically find out from Britain what is it that the British want. Because up to now, Southern Cameroon does not know why the British did not decolonize the Southern Cameroons. What is it that they wanted from the Southern Cameroon that they didn't get? And the British, like that deal of signing that contract, they might have solved a problem, but it looks like the recklessness of the British. They are paying for their recklessness, and on top of it, they are claiming to have security from the military base that is in those islands. Well, are they telling us that they have bought Mauritius? They have bought that island, or they have rented that island from Mauritius for 99 years? Is that what they are saying? Because if I understand, the island belongs to Mauritius, but the inhabitants of that island are also claiming autonomy. That is why I started by saying that I read an article where a woman was saying in the past she could go home. Right now, she's not sure whether she will be able to go home, because the British now have rented that part, have rented that island for their military base, the joint military base of the British and the Americans, from Mauritius for 99 years. Does that mean that the inhabitants now, who are generally tied to Britain, will no longer go to that island? It's a big question. They are in a dilemma, just like we were in a dilemma. We have taken the responsibility into our hands to restore our government. But we were in a dilemma when the British abandoned us, just like what is happening now. They have now given the island back to Mauritius and signed a lease for 99 years. What does that do to the inhabitants of those islands? That is a big question. So I am very, very concerned with the attitude of the British, but we need to open up diplomatic channels with the British now.
Yeah, that's indeed a big question. And I'm happy you would have brought up the need to enforce or expand or open diplomatic channels with the British now. I know that has been done before, not satisfactorily. Ambazonians expect, or Southern Californians expect more from the British, not just parliamentarians talking in the House of Lords. Barrister Mbeseha, before we get to this aspect that Barrister Fru just brought up, I want to hear from you. Barrister Mbeseha, please.
Well, I think we're not getting the correct information, the correct appreciation of what is going on there. What is going on in that place and other ones that you have mentioned, just point to one thing, that the UK, as far as international law is concerned, they are international law breakers. They don't respect anything called international law. They can analyze it anyway and come back to Ambazonia. Let us start with Ambazonia, then I can expand outside. Under international law, the UK was given a territory to administer called Cameroon under British administration. In 1946, they signed an agreement to administer this territory with the purpose of getting it independence. What did they do? They disregarded the 1946 trust agreement and partitioned the very territory that they were given into two states, into two trust territories. That was illegal. There was nothing under the 1946 agreement as British Southern Cameroon. There was only British administered Cameroon. But they broke us into two, fused it into Nigeria, created one territory they call British Northern Cameroon, and another territory called British Southern Cameroon, which they gave independence. They tried to give the independence twice. What did they want from us? Some might have missed it. They wanted the British administered Cameroon to be joined to Nigeria for their own interest. Nigeria was their colony. They knew the economic value of Southern Cameroon. They knew there's oil there. They had discovered that in many years before. So their interest was to keep British Southern Cameroon. And then they broke into two. By resolution 1608, they granted independence to Northern Cameroon by joining Nigeria. By the same that very resolution, they granted independence to Cameroon, Southern Cameroon, by joining Cameroon. How could you give independence to the same territory, one territory that you were giving, you give them two independence? That's a violation of international law. As simple as that. They are international law breakers. Under the same fiat, they granted Britain, Togo, British Togoland. They were also a trust territory like us, to administer. What did they do? In 1957, they violated that law. They didn't get independence. They joined them to Ghana.
Yeah.
And so these are international law breakers. It's not whether they get something from us or not. Going back to what I just said, even from that journalist talking there, the journalist said that they are breaking all the laws. They are breaking all international laws on the record. This argument is not being raised.
I'm not cutting you short. And the U.S. representative there is agreeing with what you're saying, Barrister Mbeseha, by saying that it is even better the decision that Britain has made now than for them to stay unlawful. That was the conclusion. But I'm supporting your point, Barrister
I was trying to say that. I was trying to say that this argument is being raised by us. It is not being raised by Mauritius. Mauritius has a way out. These are international lawbreakers. They should go to the ICJ. They themselves agree that those islands belong to Mauritius. Mauritius cannot have its own and somebody else was leasing them out.
Yeah.
Basically, there to somebody. And so these are just criminals. The British administration from day one is so unjust. There's something that happened to us. We're fighting this war because the partition, the territory given to them into two, created two protectorates from the same territory. Gave one independence by joining, gave the other one independence by joining another one. This is what we're fighting against. If they had retained something for themselves, they were embarrassed that we didn't vote to join Nigeria. And that's why, from records, we say, well, they go and say, okay, we'll give you so much money for all what you failed. We'll pay the price, and you do what you like with Ambazonia. This makes them our enemies. Our independence or restoration is not going to depend on the UK because they are not good partners. Our success is not going to be dependent on them. Our success is going to be dependent on sympathizers like Nash, who is speaking for the American government. It's going to depend on different countries. Call it Russia, call it China, not on Britain, because they have been caught pants down for the fraud that they orchestrated to us in 1960, 1961. For the fraud that they orchestrated against Mauritius in 1968, when Mauritius was getting independence. They got the independence in 1968 and kept the islands. And they want to continue keeping them. What is the difference between what they are doing to Mauritius, to what France is doing to Burkina Faso, to what France is doing to Niger, keeping their oil, keeping their resources, their gold, and then giving them sham independence? It is illegal, completely illegal. The analysts, they said the right thing. They are trying to catch up. They are trying to hide a criminal, an armed robber trying to hide in the open desert. They're just wrong. Again, Britain will not come to liberate us. They will not, because they've been caught with very dirty hands. But today is 2025. What better avenues of liberating ourselves? By letting the world know, emphasizing that what they did to us was criminal. But since there's no jail, we can go and catch the British government and put them to jail. There's something that people can listen to us. Again, after the Second World War and all these things that went on, the only country that fought the war, that went back without any proceeds. Russia did not go away with any territories to administer. They are now helping Burkina Faso, they are helping Niger and other countries that care. China did not keep in the colonies. And so, if we expect our redemption to come from our colonizers, we're wasting our time. If Mauritius expects its redemption to come from the people who are cheating them, who have been cheating them for the past several years, for the past several centuries, it's a lie. All the trouble spots around the world, most of the trouble spots today in the world, where territories are administered by UK. Palestine was just like us. The British managed Palestine. Today, there's war, people are dying everywhere there. They created satellite states, all the small states in the Middle East, with the creation of the UK. The British was giving Somaliland to administer. The war is still ongoing. They had Ambazonia to administer. The war is ongoing. So their records are so bad that we cannot depend on them to save us. So they are just an eye-opener. That these people who prayed God were really devil under a different white dress. Over to you.
Okay, it brings me now to some things here. You want to make a contribution, Barrister Fru? I think you should make it by bringing it. Yeah, you make a comment. You make it in an addition. I'm giving you the mic. I want you to make a comment with an addition to this. What must we do now to mount sufficient pressure on Britain as the government? I understand there's an Ambazonia that was filing a lawsuit. Must we keep waiting? We seem to be a little bit focused more on the United States. Is it time for us, for Britain to understand that they are accountable to Ambazonia?
Paddy, my answer would be that whether you like it or not, the United States is the leader of the world. Up to now, in spite of what is happening.
I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that maybe we need to.
This is my contribution. This is my contribution. Yeah. Just listen to me.
Go ahead.
If we succeed to get the United States to recognize us, Britain, with its play fit, will come crawling to recognize us. What I meant by getting closer to Britain is to let the British know that we are still there. We're not going to the British with cap in hand. No. Because our freedom is not dependent on the British. Left to the British, we can go to hell. Like Mbeseha said, there are lawbreakers, international lawbreakers everywhere around the world. Most of the places where Britain has passed, there's chaos. So what I'm saying is that we should at least make a diplomatic contact so that whenever anything happens and they come back, they will be coming back on our terms.
So my question is, there's an Ambazonia in the UK that was not willing to work collectively, but who opened a case. There's a couple of times by Mbeseha.
I was coming to that. I was coming to that.
Let me just orientate you towards it. Mbeseha has also spoken a couple of times how Samar Thomas messed up a case that we
yes,
did.
our case. Our case.
I'm asking a question. What stops us at this given moment to use those cases? Because these are legitimate cases. I'll tell you, for instance, the Prime Minister Motley of Turks and Caicos filed a lawsuit that she won against Britain for what they did to slaves. And they did to Barbados. I'm sorry, Barbados. And these are people we could consult and work with, because cases mounting pressure on Britain could help our cause in a very tremendous way. That's my thought anyway.
Let me continue and to say that it is not to our interest to join somebody to file a lawsuit against the British, because the historical connection between the British and the United States is very strong. It's stronger than any other connection that the United States may have anywhere. So where we are now, we cannot afford to file any lawsuit against the British. It has been six decades. We have not done it. We should not do it now at the time that we are where we are today. We never dreamed that we will get to where we are today, and we should be very careful diplomatically in hurting where we are today. I would argue that we do not rock the boat. We do not join an individual in a lawsuit against the British government. That would be my argument.
Point taken. Barrister Mbeseha, I want you to conclude on that. What's your thought on it?
Yes, I think we've spoken about this so many times before. This is the issue at stake. Now, we had contemplated a lawsuit many years back. In fact, in 2013, 2014, I still have the draft of that lawsuit we contemplated suing. But our problem is this. Suing Britain in court has no meaning. Listen to that report. Britain has been defending their own courts. And they've just, let me finish. And they've just ignored it. The only proper forum for us to sue, if we needed to sue, is the RCJ. But we, Ambazonia, we don't have access to the RCJ because we are not a member of the United Nations. It is on the basis of this order that in 2002, this Abuja case against the federal government of Nigeria, which resulted in a consent judgment. The consent judgment said that the federal government of Nigeria would take our case to the ICJ and other international organizations. Because we, as at this stage, we are not a state. We are not represented in those international organizations. And so just suing Britain in a British court is like we sued Nigeria in Abuja. And we won the case, Nigeria will not enforce them. And so it doesn't make anything helping us now. About the individual who bought his individual who bought his in 2000 and whatever year, I personally handled that case with that. Wanted to improve on it. See how we could move on with that case in 2018 as a government. He rejected it. He wanted us to give him £40,000. Mukwele was not Mukwele. He wrote to us.
Mukwele. Yeah, that's the name.
The man who brought the idea to Mukwele was Len Jolly Trumbe, who simply asked him, give us the file, let us see what he did. He refused. It is even Jolly Trumbe, may rest in peace, who was able to give us what that would do. And so the idea of a court case, we will start a court case now. Even if we started one now at the ICJ, it's unlikely to go through in the next 5 years. Where we are now with this war, we've just analyzed the war. We've analyzed what Tibonak is saying, analyzed what the world is saying about us. A court case can be supplementary, but our priority now is to fight this war. By doing what? It was draft. Even if that draft that we have can only buy us rubber gun, the people is feeling the pain. It does draft. Even if that draft can only sponsor ABC, the world is listening to us. This is a better way to move on. I don't recommend any court action at this stage. That's my personal view. But if the government thinks that they want to take a case, they may try it. But that's my personal opinion about it. Over to you.
Mine too. No case.
Okay. At least Ambazonians who have a similar concern, like me, have made the effort. You've had the legal minds. The both of them are advisors of the government, legal advisors of the government. They occupy high-profile offices in our pilot offices during this time of war. And you've heard them. Thank you, gentlemen, for spending over 3 hours with ABC this Saturday afternoon. You should have been doing something important for your family, but because you're fighters and you want a better future, you're not necessarily fighting for yourselves. You want a better future for your progeny. You would do everything to educate, to advocate, and to fight for the oppressed people of Southern Cameroon. Thank you for tuning in and joining with ABC this evening. On Monday, the Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation, ABC Networks 24, will be following very closely BBC because of something instrumental which I want to share with you. I wish I'll be able to have Barrister Fru and Barrister Mbeseha during the primetime news on Monday. It's going to be very strategic. So we're going to follow very closely. And I want you to watch so that you understand why we'll be on BBC very closely, because a full documentary will be out.
The person he was talking said, if we don't send the money within 24 hours, we'll kill your husband.
They tortured him. You could just hear them flogging everywhere.
Got seen in my hand and fell down.
All around me, my neighbor had been taken. My landlord had been taken. I knew it was my turn.
Working on this story is a risk, but I believe it's a risk worth taking to show what people in my country are going through and the price they are having to pay.
So Eye on Africa, BBC, congratulations that you're making the effort I'm giving you an early congratulations because I actually heard some words that are important. What the people are going through and the price they would have to pay. So I will be watching very closely to get the rhetoric. Why the reporter or investigator called it a conflict, the person who captioned it on BBC, Facebook, and their social media handles, called it Anglophone crisis. We know that the word Anglophone, looking into the case in Southern Cameroons, the word Anglophone is a scam. The people of the Southern Cameroons are not mere Anglophones. The people of the Southern Cameroons cannot be described by their language. They are a people recognized under international law with a sovereign territory that should be respected. And it is a good thing that after a long time, Britain is paying attention. We receive reports from BBC acknowledging that the lockdown against the illegal May 20th National Day was a debacle. Fellow Ambazonians, ladies and gentlemen, it's been your anchor, Paddy King. I will be following the news, and I'm giving you this rendezvous because you are actually invited to also participate. We would like your participation on Monday. I might join Undaunted, but I hope to get some analysts. We will follow closely what BBC will be saying, and we will either respond to them if they are not going to be accurate, or we'll applaud them for doing a good job. We need many more people telling the world that the normalcy in the Southern Cameroons particularly is far-fetched. Whatever is happening in Yaoundé and Douala is a nation or a time bomb. It's a nation that's struggling with debt. The economy is going down very dangerously. And they're pretending as though everything is fine. They wouldn't tell their people that the Ambazonia State Army have neutralized a dozen or dozens of them only within 7 days because they are intruding a sovereign territory. They wouldn't tell their people that the war that they promised to win in 2 weeks is simply a loss. Until next time, good night and enjoy your weekend. Bye.
Fellow Ambazonians, fellow Ambazonia State Armed Forces, now the voice for una CICDs, President Sako, today, now May the 24th, 2025, I just come for Can't Talk Say, on behalf of the voice of our ancestors, our heroes, dead and alive, congratulations. Congratulations to all our Ambazonia State Armed Forces, from Fako to Dongamanto, from Mezam to Bui, from Goketunja to Meme, from Dian to Boyo, from Manyu to Momo, from Menchum to Lebialem. We honor you, we throw a salute, we lift you up. When I be see bona action from Kupema Nenguba to Ndian and places where we be think say it don't finish, from Boyo to Menchum, when I be see ona action to Fako to Meme, Mezam, Abakwa, tears of hope they flow through from my eyes to my chest. I get the hope say Ambazonia is already free. Say this generation cannot fail because this generation, our ASA, una know who say will come out and who say will go. Una know what will get them and what will not get them. What will want them and what will not want them. Una no even need again. Say me somante una. Una don't show we say. Una ear the open, but una not the hear for no man because una know who say una go. Una know what you do. Una do. When a revolution don't reach for that level, I no say nothing. No human being no go stop her. People do go talk church. They can bring some money, talk church. They say stop, no do. They talk like say they get with best interests. But una, from the civilians, from the home front to the ASA, una know what we want. Una know who say would go and which would fight for. I salute una. I salute all man. My prayer and I say, una, we take responsibility. We take charge. Because the thing with this lockdown don't do, who will do for this 20th May lockdown, for these 5 days. No be enough for honor any human being. The one message we will don't send them for the Republic again and to the international community again. Now say, these four corners, this territory, this boundary them, would be put up for 1929 in a different country. No other authority you no go can't tell una what you gonna get for do and what you not get for do. Una don't show the world say una no be slave again. We no be slave again for La Republic. Now the message that and say La Republic they no go take their authority, come organize. They celebrate provocation for inside our country. Then they call we mommy and papa say me will come out, me will can join celebrate. So I salute una. But this one I just the teaser. Let me say na taste with your taste. Because La Republic the Cameroon, they be ready this year for impose the agenda for country. For take some come make organize some foreign election for inside our country. Undermine with authority. Force themselves over us. But I trust Ambazonia State Armed Forces. I trust the people of Ambazonia. This year, the song we go sing now, we will not go agree, we will not go agree. The world must see, say, we don't restore our nation, our independence, our sovereignty. I think that's some people they talk, say, may we call ourselves the way United Nations. No, I don't know what they talk. Escape we fight now for go for La Republic, for United Nations, for say, may they tell we what will go happen. No. That one at time will be the do a force of argument. Now we don't already go above force of argument. We don't restore our independence. Now we the only defender. And when a country don't get the independence, by taking it, it don't be like human being where it don't be born. That person get for call a name as he like. We call ourselves what we like. Then the world go recognize them. You know if you call yourself nothing, you say until any name where the world call we, that we will take up. No. You tell we your name. Anybody will come for you, they ask you now, what will be your name? You tell the person your name, they start call you for that name. I don't know any man where they be born for the ground, because the birth certificate for any nation is independence. I don't know any country, any place where they be born for the ground, you don't get no name. He talks any name where they go call me now, I go answer. Take your name. The only two you fight for now, I say the world must recognize we. And La Republic must call we by that name. Anybody in the world must call me by that name. No man will tell me, say, make I change my name before he go call me the name with me I call myself. That means say our freedom therefore we hand, in order for nobody hand. And Ambazonia State Armed Forces and our home front, our civil society, our mommy and papa them, when I don't show me, say true, our destiny is therefore we hand. I will not go agree. So God bless you, and no see with this spirit, Ambazonia is already free. And no one go can put the authority over us again. It's over. Thank you, Ambazonia State Armed Forces. Send this message for all my generals, all the colonels, all the mission commanders, all the foot soldiers. Send them, encourage them. Say we will be encouraged and we stand together till we reach Boya. God bless you.